can we bring to fall the giants? 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 We
All right, so here we are, another round of amateur AOE sports. Another round of in-houses. Today we've got our two analysts, Incon Lol and Wolverine. How are you guys doing today?
I am doing fantastic. How are you?
Great. Well, Incon?
Yeah, I'm doing well. You can call me Inconspicuous or Nick, please. You know my name. But
Nick?
yeah, no, how you doing? Ready for another day of high quality, high level League of Legends?
Yeah, we're gonna get something good today. I just know it. So today on one
4-5, please.
today on one side we have Cozy, Matty, Strompest, Array, and Trevor. On the other side, we've got Dragoon, Perry, Shochi, Prismal, and ChuChuZ. Wolverine, can I get your opinion on the first team?
Looks pretty solid. Looks pretty solid. Bot lane of UST. Trevor Roy, definitely a big factor on this team. Other players, they've been to Korea for boot camps. Trevor Roy, he's been to Korea for 2 tours. He's been around.
All right, Nick, why don't you give me a little bit of a rundown on second team?
I think second team is a clear way to play the game, or at least how they should play the game. I think Dragoon is very good on weak side. I think Prismal ChuChuZ is a really pretty good bot lane to play towards. So I think if the blue team, right, if Dragoon gets his Gangplank that I think he's pretty good on, and then Prismal ChuChuZ can get just a lane dominant with counter picks on red side, then I think they can find a way to win. I think if they choke their draft and then they try and get fancy with it, and then they end up just kind of getting lost in the sauce a little bit, they'll have a lot of issues develop, and I think you'll see the team kind of fall apart. The other thing I want to say is that it's really important that either of these teams pick up a tank, because this is not going to be the highest level of gameplay. Again, these are people that haven't really played with each other. So getting like at least a front line and not just playing full zone is going to be important, because I don't think people are going to communicate or play it nearly well enough how they would need to.
Right. So for Team Matty, we have a little bit of an interesting thing coming up. We have Supernova's topside showing up. What do we think the keys to success for Team Matty are? Either one of you.
I'd say probably play to top side. That sounds good to me.
You think so?
Excellent.
Sure. I guess Trevor likes to roam. Array can push. I would probably play towards Array Trevor. I think Cozy's probably going to get banned out. I don't think playing towards top side is going to be a good idea if he's off his main champions. I think just Matty freeing up Strompest in the mid lane, considering Perry, Shochi probably don't have that much duo, and then taking a bot lane into the Prismal ChuChuZ will win. I think whoever plays for bot lane better and more properly will win the game. So Matty and Strompest really need to play well together, need to leverage their communication that they have, and need that winning 2v2.
So it looks like draft is starting up here. About to get in the first bans. So I'm going to throw it to our analysts for a little bit of a breakdown of the draft.
There's no breakdown, bro.
Yeah.
First ban gonna be set.
Yeah, that's a really good ban. Definitely can't just outrange it. Rise ban, that's for Strompest, makes sense. Definitely can't outrange that either.
Mostly target bans at the moment.
Perry is a Kayn main, not one trick.
Not a one trick, definitely not.
Not a one trick. He's a Kayn main. So we're seeing that ban come out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things that Kayn does that transfer over well to other champions. So I don't think this will be a hindrance at all.
Yeah,
of course not.
Kayn definitely isn't a tempo cheating champion that plays unlike any other champion that can just run through walls like it was never intended for him to be able to.
No, absolutely not. Kayn, I think, is a very honest champion. Doesn't exactly.
You're seeing the Lilia answer. So obviously, if blue side team went with Lilia, then red side team Perry would just respond with Kayn. So I think he's saying that he doesn't really have a Lilia counter. So with the Kayn getting banned, they ban Lilia in response. Interesting.
I agree.
That's so bad.
Banning Yuumi on blue side.
So Wolverine, I want your opinion on this, because I don't think Yuumi is a necessary ban whatsoever.
It's not. If you pick Shen Soraka into Yumi, you're going down 30 CS bot lane minimum. Shen Soraka is the answer.
Oh, Lucian Nami's gonna get picked up. This is gonna be really bad for the team. Nami's a champion.
Lucian first pick. Will we see just like Caitlyn Nami 1-2?
No. You'll see Ezreal.
You'll see MF.
Here comes a Leona.
Misfortune the answer.
To me, Leona. I'm gonna cry.
Oh, they'll take Leona on 3.
Decent. Like in Red Side Draft right now, not a big fan of Lucian. Not a big fan.
Well, it's gonna be followed up with Nami, right? And unless you want to go for something where you pick like, you can't even pick Sejuani or anything. You really don't want to pick any tank on Lu here. So you're not really getting access to anything. You're stuck into picking jungle, but you have to pick something like suboptimally because Graves can just get flexed into top mid, and then you can just pick jungle counter. And you can still hold the Graves flex top mid. So you can get a lot of good matchups on red side here, right? They can get support counter, they can get like top or mid counter or jungle counter. A lot of flexibility on red side with that Graves on the 1-2.
I think I'd probably be looking at R3 Syndra support for red side here. Thoughts?
Well, I don't think this guy's gonna lock in Syndra support bot lane.
Seems like an unlikely pick, but never impossible.
Oh, we're gonna go Leona, and we're gonna lose. And I'm down for it, honestly.
Vex picked up on blue side. Don't know how that escaped the ban phase. We needed to take Rise away.
Oh. Oh, that's fine. No, that's a good pick. You want melee support into Nami. It's really good because if she doesn't land her E, then you have no way to really play the game.
One thing here with the Leona, it's pretty good into Vex in the way that when you hit your E and Vex cancels it, you're not gonna die because you won't be in the middle of the enemy team.
Soft
banking on your supports not being good and going in with the E. Banger strategy call here. Whatever. I don't like the Leona. It's whatever. Vex is gonna go mid. I don't think it will ever go top, and that thing cannot jungle. It's like dependent on it. So the Vex is stuck mid. I'll be curious what mid laner they pull out to counter the. To counter the Vex. Assuming you don't want the Graves into it, they'll probably just get outranged. You could go Graves if you wanted to, and just go for the prio, but probably not the best answer. Especially if you can just go mid and then hold the Graves flex.
Xin Zhao and Yone the bans? They're scared of the Yone mid lane. Not sure how I feel about that. I think it would actually be a pretty decent pick, as long as you can secure magic damage topside.
I'm trying to think. Is Dragoon a magic damage player? Not really. I honestly,
he can bust out that AP Malphite at any time.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we see like a Gangplank here.
Gangplank would not be terrible. Honestly though, I'm just waiting for the Malphite. The Darius can be banned away. We will not see Dragoon Darius in this game. Olaf banned on the Gore Drinker patch. I think Olaf is still very good, with Gore Drinker not being an item anymore.
I think so too. I also think that Stridebreaker not having the dash that used to, that also made him good, also makes him a very good champion still. I also think your ability to pick Trundle. Okay, Lux.
Lux, I actually do like that answer. I think red side can play to outrange here. I think I would have rather seen the Ziggs, but Lux pretty strong on this patch.
Yeah, I think Lux is really good. I think if I can provide personal commentary, that Graves is probably going jungle every single time. Dragoon hasn't been the best on the Graves, and we're just gonna lock in Jarvan into it, so it works really well. If we're just gonna do that and smile. It could be Jarvan top, but I think we're just throwing away the game, and we're just getting counterpicked jungle, getting counterpicked mid. We could have been counterpicked bot lane, but we weren't fully punished, and then we're giving away top counterpick too. But overall not bad, honestly. We only had a completely losing line down the draft, so we'll see.
Okay, Jax being locked in for top. This is absolutely an angle where you flex Graves to jungle and you take the Malphite. Jax cannot play the game. Works real well with your composition.
Just pick Gangplank on 5. Is what
Does
you're
not
saying,
look like
correct?
we are going to see it.
Have MF,
You said
have
Gangplank
Leona.
on 5, right?
Gangplank, honestly, not too. Oh,
It's a win!
Oh.
It's a win!
All right. There we go. There we go. I was about to rationalize Gangplank, but that being said, Gangplank terrible. Malphite is in fantastic pay.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think Red Side getting access to that Graves on the 1-2 just kind of carried the entire rest of the draft, and then enemy team, even though Vex is very strong, kind of forcing the Vex to go mid, enabling them to get that mid counter, even though, again, we picked the Leona. But obviously, the mid laner is saying that I have enough counter picks into the Vex that we can just go on to the 4, then guaranteeing the top counter pick. You realistically just have, you know, very easy Red Side draft that I think is easy to execute, easy to play, and I think we'll end up winning the game as well.
Yeah, I agree. Just not enough flex picks. Allowed counter pick mid, allowed counter pick top. Didn't really get a lot in the draft for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so from top to bot here, which side do we think has an extreme edge?
We have winning top matchup for Red Side, winning jungle matchup for Red Side, winning mid matchup for Red Side. We have a fine ADC pick into the enemy ADC, but we do have bad support matchups, so that's where it becomes unplayable, and that's why blue team's gonna win. So, a little hard. What's gonna be funny is I know that blue team Nami is going to go electrocute. I'm just gonna cry.
So do we think blue team has realistically any angles in this game aside from just a full outright collapse from red side?
I actually don't think this is super unlosable. Like, they do have a composition that works like somewhat well together, where they have like a good engaged threat. If they can like be clean with their engages and get resets on the Vex, like that's how they're gonna win. But I honestly don't see it happening. I think there's just too much disruption. Like Lux and Malphite are so hard to deal with.
Yeah, I think blue team's engage is really linear when you think about it, right? Like, it's Jarvan EQ, it is Vex just ulting in, right? Literally, you know, a line, linear, or Jax queuing in, right? They can maybe find unique angles, but it's not going to be like very unique angles, and they're gonna struggle to really try and get in, right? If you look at like the terrain control that Red Side has, right? They have the Lux E, they have the Lux Q, they have the Grave Smokescreen, they have the Misfortune E. A lot of ways to disrupt the movement of the enemy team. The Leona are as well. Even it's not the best, but it is an option, right? They just have a lot of ways to control the movement of blue team, and blue team can, you know, struggle to find a way to get in. But yeah, no, I think it's not like, I joke around about it, but I don't think it's like super doomed for blue team. I think like if blue team, right, again, if like the Vex Jarvan can get freed up mid, collapse on the bot lane, make it unplayable for MF Leona, it can be very hard for red team to play. But the Malphite will still be an issue. You know, how do we kill him as the game progresses is going to be the question that blue team has to answer.
I mean, if there's one thing that these games in Amateur Arena have shown, it's that draft means a lot less than you'd initially think. Teams have been winning with losing drafts and the exact opposite, so...
We're going to say Wolverine?
Honestly, I think if it's me, I take Lethality Jarvan this game and just try and flip it. Similarly, I think Lethality Graves is also the play, but we will see.
I usually prefer Lethality Graves in jungle, because I think when you have access to less gold, it's harder to get the traditional Negan build online versus going
Yeah, of course.
Lethality route. I think if you're sending Graves into the jungle, you're kind of strong-armed into going Lethality, but I also think Lethality goes well with like the Lux as well, right? Malphite can just kind of pick a target, and you can kind of just kill him at once.
Yep. So we should be about starting to head into game, so should be about ready to throw it over to break here, correct? All right. So I will see you on the other side.
Can't wait.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the AOE presented Amateur Arena, where we got Team Matty going up against Team Perry. Those are the names that I will be referring to them by, and just to run it down very quickly, because you may not recognize some names as they are spelled out, we're going to be calling Nami for the red side. Trevor and Array will be in the lane right next to them. In the bot lane, of course, for the blue side, we have Prismal as well, who otherwise I don't know how to read this. How do I say this?
Saving NA, right?
I think so. Yes. I can barely pixels.
Yeah. It's okay. Level 1 action, dear, though.
Okay.
Never mind. No level 1 action.
Okay,
A
level
bind.
1 action. Yeah, this is really not bad. I mean, it's bad for Strompest, obviously, but in terms of Lux binding starts, this is a pretty good one.
And force the flash out as well. Immobile mid laner, certainly a area to exploit. Of course, congratulations to Matty's team already for having 2 scrim games prior that they've already won. We'll try and get that hopefully fixed up. So with first game, block of 3 here tonight. So we are going to have 3 games regardless of whether it goes to 2-0 or not. But as we touched on, and as we got to see there, Strompest is indeed down his flash, and Lux starting binding obviously opens up for a potential early game gank. Doesn't necessarily even have to be super early on either, can be a nice interaction, but already ChuChuZ looking to take advantage of Malphite's fairly weak early laning phase, and the level 1 stun able to find a little bit of damage, particularly as well on the bot side when we've got Electrocute Nami just doing the same thing.
You know, you'll take any advantages you can, really. As we talked about this earlier, the analysts did, but in the top lane and the mid lane, it's not expected that blue side really gets the better end of these. Really, it's only the bot lane where they have some pretty nice strength to work with the Lucian Nami that they did prioritize early on, and we'll keep an eye on how that sort of pans out for them. But, of course, this is impacting our junglers, who we will be keeping eyes on at the same time. We already know that Perry's jungle start was spotted over there on the red buff. He's made his way down towards his bot lane, maybe giving them a little bit of safety, but the thing is, Graves isn't going to pull any triggers on anything, and it's up to Perry to just farm up a storm and wait for his mid and top to do their thing and make the game unplayable for the other side.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Like, we just got 2 solo lanes that are supposed to be hard winning here for Perry's side, particularly when Strompest has no flash. That playmaking potential becomes even slighter, particularly if Matty does go for a gank round there. So the only real option is going to be, well, let's just gank top instead.
Yeah, this seems to be working. We're going to get ChuChuZ, finding a nice little stun, and I don't think there's a whole lot you can do to escape from this, so pretty horridly mismanaging the wave. Unfortunately, Dragoon is going to go down, but I got to give that one to ChuChuZ. The way that he played it ended up working quite well for him.
I mean, Matty actually does a really unique path right there to catch the Malphite off guard, knowing that they started on the top side as well. I have to hold it though. Shochi in a little bit of trouble, does dodge out on that final Q to evade some of the damage. But Matty actually starts top side, gets his 3 buffs with or 2 buffs and Gromp, and then runs right back up to top lane. So it's not a timing that Dragoon would be expecting, recognizing or at least expecting that his jungle and the Jarvan will be battling it out. Really smart from Matty to sort of poke this Malphite early on, pre-level 6 when he doesn't have that escape potential, and help out your Jax to get to that late game.
It's those small things I like that you pointed out, Rudin. You help me understand, because I want to be keeping track of what these players are doing. It's all about the individual showcase here. Despite the fact that ChuChuZ, Matty, and Strompest have played together before, I want to go into this with the idea that these players are not used to each other. They haven't scouted each other out and had the chance to practice all as a unit. It's more about throwing together strategies, and when we're talking about throwing together strategies, especially like that get your Jax ahead and get your Jarvan going, it's going to be really nice.
And you can already see in the item builds here that ChuChuZ is not planning on particularly interacting with this Malphite for much longer in the laning phase. Cole already picked up, supposedly here, going to be looking for the farm, just making sure that he's picking up every single minion that he can and really keep that Malphite, just to maybe do the same thing, scale up alongside their win conditions relative to one another later on. Very different. Obviously, Jax, a tremendous split pusher during the later stages of the game. Whether he can cut through the Malphite or not remains to be seen, but with Conqueror, with the damage that Jax does in the later stages, we imagine that they will be able to.
That was a nice Zenith Blade. I don't think it results in a kill. We do have Flash and Cleanse up, and Array could have burned those had he been really worried, but a good interrupt on the back timings nonetheless is going to put Array in more of a difficult spot when it comes to actually catching the wave that is now being pushed into him by Prismal and ChuChuZ. Well, meantime, Matty making another visit up to the top lane is actually making things quite difficult for Dragoon up here, despite the fact that on this Malphite, he is having a pretty nice laning phase. He's already got the Corrupting Pot and a little bit of extra AP with the Dark Seal, and ChuChuZ is not having the most cozy of times.
No, it is a little bit frustrating to continue playing against a Malphite who's got Arcane Comet, has got Scorch as well, just rolls those seismic shards into you, and there's not a whole lot that you can do as Jax to get away from those or dish out the damage in response, because Malphite just slows you, runs away, and it slows your attack speed as well. Dragoon here trying to force Cozy out. Level 6 hit though.
Really, yeah, this is pretty simple execution for him, and it's exactly why our analysts love this matchup. Dragoon just has to make sure that he can keep this Jax poke down, and the deletion is very quick. So as much as I think, like you illustrated, ChuChuZ doesn't want to interact with this Malphite, he's very much forced to in that scenario, but interactions being forced towards the bot side as well, where we had Perry start up the Dragon. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like he's going to be able to finish it, as Matty, with another really nice check, pulling everybody together, gets to take away this Mountain Drake as well.
Just pulling resources from the bot lane here. They do sacrifice a little bit of their wave and the control over it to come on over, get that dragon for themselves, and they may end up losing Array here once again. Still has those summoner spells available, but in a much worse spot.
Yep, still gonna be fun there as a nice cleanse comes through. Does end up flashing though, so double summoner expended is a problem, and without the backup of Trevor for the moment, couldn't really turn and fight that. But now with Matty showing up in the bot lane with a 3v3 brewing, ChuChuZ in a little bit of trouble. Has that Eclipse burning, but well, it expires, ends up getting taken down. Matty though, gonna be taken down as well. Well, Perry flashes forward with the shotgun. The last couple autos not quite connecting from Prismal, but there's not gonna be an answer back, and it is a 1-for-1 in that bot lane, 3v3s and all.
So jungler for support here, a trade up for the Perry's team. They're going to be able to push this wave under the turret, and it's going to be collected by Array on the bot side here. Maybe even getting a plate out of it, but it looks as though that one will just go to the wayside. A bit of wasted gold, but you don't want to stick around under the face of Lucian Nami when they've got CDs available. Elsewhere on the map though, we are seeing this mid lane is fairly standard. We've got trade of waves, nothing too untoward there, and this top lane is still just going to get a little bit worse for ChuChuZ before it gets better, unfortunately. With the Warden's Mail picked up, going to be dishing out not even more damage, but just making sure that it's even harder for ChuChuZ to put that damage back down with the Warden's Mail passive as well, making it really difficult for Jax to do all but anything in that laning phase, as well as all the armor coming through for him. With the Sheen on top for ChuChuZ, it's not much of a trade in terms of these items, and Dragoon, like I was going to say, with the Comet, with the Scorch as well, just absolutely obliterating Jax with every single seismic shard. And with the Graves up there, we've got ChuChuZ already on his way up. The times for ChuChuZ under this turret may not be much long left.
No, this is really a bad spot. He knows it, we know it, and now Perry gets to benefit from it as 300 gold fall into the pocket of him. No teleport to get back to lane, and it doesn't seem like it's nice for Strompest either, as he has to flash underneath the tower. ChuChuZ is thinking about following this one up as the bolt time gets interrupted. Just barely ChuChuZ is in range of that tower, and a nice flash from Shochi to pick up the remaining kill on Matty. Leaves red team pretty darn far ahead. They've been making multi-angle plays across the map, and the only real person that's benefiting is Array on this bot side.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting these plates down on the bot side. Maybe would have liked to have seen Trevor make some roams up to prevent one of these dives from happening, but overall, just really good map movements from ChuChuZ, from the rest of the squad here. Perry's team have done a very good job at picking up plays elsewhere. You'll more than happily take that trade for one plate, maybe even two down on the bot side. You can see that Prismal's trying to pick up as much XP as possible here, knows that he's in danger if he steps up though, and Comet down to put a little bit of poke in, and now he's got his support back. I'm more than happy to walk forward, collect these minions, and make sure that there's not too much lost. Bigly's overall the biggest real harbinger of death doom at the minute is going to be Dragoon. There was a massive wave denied on the top side to ChuChuZ, so he's feeling even worse in this top side, and keep on saying it's going to get worse before it gets better, and that getting better window is just getting further and further away.
It really is, and the levels alone are already problematic. You can see ChuChuZ trying desperately to shove in the wave, has exposed himself to very near death. If the ultimate was up, he would certainly be gone. Shochi, though, getting relatively low in the mid lane, does have a little bit of trouble there, and this Vex matchup is one that I'm really interested in, as Strompest can provide a lot of disruption to the red side. I know that, you and I have seen the Vex before. We've seen Strompest before in Amateur Arena alone, and in Amateur as a whole, the guy is crazy and he's good at Vex, but in this specific case, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. We'll have to wait and find out. Well, in the bot lane, seems like that Lucian Nami trying to be taken advantage of right now, gets Prismal quite low, but doesn't quite end up landing the kill, and if you're not picking up those small kills, even with that setup, it's not going to cut it.
Once again, though, nice jungle presence on the bot side and good pressure overall for Matty's team. We do see as well that Matty is there in the tri-brush waiting for something to happen. Similarly, on this top side, Perry's back.
It's just death. It is only death for ChuChuZ, as Perry knows how dead the Jax is and commits even before the CC is layered off of the Malphite. Really nicely done, and Dragoon and Perry, I think, recognizing their limits quite well, really have nothing to worry about. Is even so, Perry's going to get even more farm. He's already gone that lethality route that our analyst talked about right now, but he's not going to be able to get away from Matty, who dunks him with the Cataclysm, and now can look for Dragoon. Has the red buff ticking. Dragoon has no cooldowns to get away. Mid lane is in a knockdown, drag out brawl, where Shochi seems to be getting the better end of it right now, and as that solar flare connects, Strompest's death warrant is sealed.
Another pickup in the mid lane then for Perry's squad. Shochi able to start off the proceedings. A lovely solo flare roam from ChuChuZ, able to set it on up, and then the Q to finish off. And another really nice segment of plays, well rehearsed as well. Matty able to make his way up to the top side defense against the Rift Herald and make sure that whilst the turret is still alive, there's a bastion for ChuChuZ to hide behind. And I love as well that this rotate has happened already. We've got Prismal coming up to the top side. They're sacrificing, or they're not sacrificing anything, they're getting themselves out of their losing lane, and they're going to be funneling a lot of gold in onto Prismal here. You have to imagine with that turret just a hair's breadth away from going down, if they're able to take that down, put that gold onto the Misfortune, it's going to accelerate her back into the game, down to about 20 CS and having a pretty rough time down in the bot lane. Moved up to the top side, picked up that large chunk of gold, and probably right back into the game with these fights coming through fairly soon. Infernal Dragon up on the board. It looks as though that has been sacrificed. If you're rotating your bot lane up to the top side, you're giving up that bot side control, but they may just be looking to hammer down ChuChuZ once again.
Oh lord, yeah, ChuChuZ is just not going to have any fun, although it does, I will say, concern me that at the amount of fun that the rest of his team was able to have, is I guess we're not including in Trevor in that, his double ultimate expended for that. Maybe the Dragoon ends up going down, not too tanky against the magic damage just yet, and Vex is definitely putting in the work, is going to get the 1-for-1, but now needs to stand up to Shochi, and Perry's on the way as well with this lethality graze. Can and will ruin your day, but he isn't even needed as Shochi ends up picking up the double.
Very rare that you will see people chain autos on the Lux, but recognizing here that he's got the red buff is crucial. Able to find a slow that keeps him in range then of the illumination and get those damage spells through. Array goes forward.
We've still got safety though, no stun's gonna connect, but still the culling does get interrupted, and the bullet time rides right back over. Both AD carries extremely low, but it seems like Trevor's looking to get feisty, flashes with the ignite and picks up the kill as Perry snipes away Array. We're going to get another kill falling into the hands of Perry, especially with that heal coming through to burning down to the ignite. A double going into Perry, who's now 5-1 on lethality graves, mind you, who not only is the best option economically, as our analyst pointed out, but who also really hurts if you're squishy rooted.
And we look across the roster here of Matty, and if we take bot side into account, they're all incredibly squishy, right? Vex doesn't have armor yet. Lucian Nami, as a byproduct of being in the bot lane and Enchanter support, going to be very scary. But we look across the rest of the map as well. Matty doesn't have any armor yet. ChuChuZ doesn't have any armor yet either, particularly when he's going to be laning up against this Malphite. Doesn't really want to be itemizing into that too early on. Might want to get a little bit of magic resist. Maybe even just Merc Treads is enough to maybe give him a bit of help when dealing with Dragoon, who's already got his Frozen Heart completed, rushing this attack speed reduction so that he doesn't need his E necessarily, but he's compounding on it so that even once that E has ran out, the duration has run its course, there's going to be more attack speed reduction, less autos coming from ChuChuZ, they're going to be dealing less damage anyway because of all the armor that he's got stacked up. This guy gets a Bramble Vest, then ChuChuZ's not touching him for the next 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, it literally just doesn't matter in this matchup, and that's exactly what our analysts were talking about when they said it was going to get unplayable. It really does not feel good, especially when Malphite has the added bonus of not only being able to neutralize you pretty well in the side lane, but being able to start off fights as Matty's looking to do right now. Lays down the Cataclysm and the Tidal Wave coming over it. The Vex ultimate just barely falling short as Shadow Surge is not going to be enough to finish off those kills, and instead, Team Matty are getting finished off themselves as Strompest gets blown up in the jungle. And man, if a dragon were up there, it's gone. If that team fight happens once more around an objective, you are just shut out of the game as Team Matty.
And they're doing well, Perry, here to continually find leads regardless of the fact that there are no dragons up. You see that Perry's just dashing between mid lane tier 2 turrets to try and find any scrapes of farm that he can deny from Matty's jungle and be able to take away the wolves, take away the blue, take away the gromp. This entire top side has been pillaged right now. I think he came through just at the wrong time to pick up the Raptors or prioritize this top side over it regardless. But it's not just the top side jungle there. It's the camps that... Oh, okay. Nice. Good. We'll use the collateral damage to steal that, why not? Mid tier 1 goes down, bot tier 1 goes down, gold is just ballooning into Perry's favor right now, and this lead is only going to grow for the time being because they've got Misfortune ulti, they've got Lux ulti to try and find some picks. One long range CC lands and they've got damage from a million miles away to start dishing out the DPS.
It's really, really harmful for Team Matty to get caught, like you say, by that singular crowd control. And there is a lot of it that can be laid down, especially by the Leona. ChuChuZ has been doing remarkably on the solar flares and has a surprising amount of synergy with Prismal as well. I feel like this bot lane has been moving together relatively consistently, and we haven't seen too many just question marks from Prismal, only dying the once. Well, we pan up to the top side, and Dragoon is still doing just Dragoon things, so he's gonna end up leaving as he notices there's some attention being paid up towards the top side, has the ultimate to get out safety, and will end up investing in. So a turret will go the way of ChuChuZ and Matty.
Yeah, and on the other side of things, it doesn't look like Perry's team are particularly well set up to get turrets in exchange, but we look at the Dragon Timer, 13 seconds on that. This is almost certainly going to be a trade. No way Matty can get down to the bot side in time for that. Might end up being a bit of a battle as well. They're sticking around on this top side, and summoning that Rift Herald, it's going to get a little bit defended. Now TP, and Shochi's in trouble.
Yeah, this is really good. The pick before the potential dragon to come through could change everything, and Shochi is not getting out of this alive. It's time for his team to turn and burn, but they cannot do it. Well, Shochi, he's the one that turns and burns, as out of a terrible situation, he really magics his way into a win.
He does get a kill here, dear, but that is -6 on his Magi stacks overall. Yes, the team gets the dragon going 1-for-1 in that 2v1 situation. Obviously, a better than nothing type stance, but it is still a trade positive for Matty. In terms of that exclusive kill, argue that, you know, getting them off of Soul Point or making sure that Matty's team don't get onto Soul Point, a very strong point for Perry's squad to be in. And we now see that, you know, with those Ocean still starting to be, or Ocean Dragons beginning to stack up, maybe this Jackson, or this Graves and this Leona in particular may be getting a little bit difficult to kill, and then we don't even want to talk about how hard this Malphite is going to be with an Ocean Soul. If that ends up coming to be the case, we're still, you know, 15-20 minutes away from that eventuality, so we don't need to worry about it just yet. But you can see the pieces starting to form where maybe this early to mid-game composition will start to die down. If that Ocean Soul starts to ramp up at the same time, it might just be the little edge that they need to carry them over.
How many more times do you think the Dragoon dies this game? Because I'm thinking it's maybe one, but I'm almost certain that he doesn't actually die from this point. Like, especially once that next item is completed and he gets that mythic, I don't see the dream.
Well, I think it depends largely on whether they win the game or not, also. I think at this point they're very well poised to do so, but 3,500 gold maybe doesn't tell the entire story of, or isn't as far behind as I would expect Matty's team to be, given the kill score, given the turrets, and all of those other metrics going into play with one another, because ChuChuZ is doing a good job at farming, and let's see a fight.
That was a really nice flash away. Will it actually save this misfortune, though? Prismal ends up going down, but lays down a sick bullet time. In the meantime, it's for Perry to answer this back now, as he does end up picking up the kill onto Matty. Still very low on ChuChuZ, though. Does mean that the play can't really continue. And in the meantime, ChuChuZ's teleported for a flank. Is going to look for a multi-man stun here and flashes in to secure. Not only that, but the kill on top of it. Shochi claps back, but will it be enough? A big shutdown ends up going the way of Trevor, but Shochi continues to lay out the damage on this Lux. Goes golden for the moment, as now it's time for Dragoon to shine, taking down the Jax and lending his Lux an assist for the double.
Oh my, such close fights in these mid lane skirmishes, and finally it is going to be Perry's team that come out on top. We're seeing this battle Nami just flash forward for kill every time that is available, but overall once again it's Perry's squad that come out on top. It's a 3-for-4 in favour of the red side, and just barely here it's them getting more kills. But if we look across the board at where the kills went and how much the kills are worth, it's actually worth more gold to Matty's team because of the amount of shutdowns that went over. Yes, one of them went into Nami's back pocket, but that gold lead actually shrunk after that fight, despite the fact that the kills were in favour of the other team. So we'll have to see how much bearing that has on this matchup. We still see that Shochi racking up those Magi stacks, now back up to 14 after not dying, and has gone for the Zhonya's Hourglass as a second item to keep himself extra safe. We saw it firsthand right there. Being able to Zhonya's that Jack stun is going to do you a lot of services. May well see a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, I don't think that you want to be engaging this as Matty. It does not look fun at all to be up against this misfortune and Lux combined. Well, Shochi's got better things to do. He ends up picking up another kill, advancing those stacks even further, and now opening up this tier 2 tower.
Yeah, we're playing Nasus here today. We've got +6 stacks on the Magi's this time, though, and it is going to be Prismal moving in to finish off that turret. Perry may well win this.
Dude, I don't think Perry... I was a Perry believer there. I was like, no, he's not in trouble at all. But you know what? He did end up backing off. In the meantime, every lane is going to be able to be answered, as we know the Immortal Dragoon showing back up in the top side still has not been outscaled by the Jackson. Unfortunately for Team Matty, they're going to lose an inhibitor for trying to push multiple lanes at once. I think their one hope is to clap back on this mid lane tower, and they will do so, with Perry not going to be caught by the bubble. No more kills will go their way, and it's a small play in the favor of Team Matty, at least for now. Perry is looking for more, though. No hard CC to land does mean that the Lucian Nami gets out alive.
Yeah, I thought there could have been a chase potential there with the slows, but that bot lane inhibitor going down 22 minutes into the game, right on the threshold of Barons becoming that sort of goal to start accelerating the pace of the game, really might put Matty's team in a lot of jeopardy here. Down 5k gold, and certainly not the best position for them to be in, with permanent pressure going through on that bot side. Would love to just see them put ChuChuZ down on the bot lane, be able to absorb even more farm, because he has been farming very well. So is Strompest. These two guys are both putting up some decent numbers relative to their counterparts. You know, credit to Shochi as well for keeping pace with Strompest. But if you keep that Jax down there, that guy's going to clear waves much faster than a Vex will, and B just going to have a little bit more sustain on it with the Blade of the Ruin King already there. For the time being, though, it is indeed the Dragon having that one respawned, and as you can tell by the state of the game here, there's not really much of a contest for Matty's team to be having.
No, you really can't do much, although I guess this engage is something. There's no ability to get out for Prismal, it seems, as he gets taken down as fast as you can say. Misfortune engaged on Shochi, though, involving himself is going to be a problem for the side of Team Matty, and he's proven himself to be, as he deletes the Jax, looks for more kills, but with a Ray flashing out over the wall, or rather relentlessly pursuing and flashing out over the wall, it holy moly seems like you might get out alive. The single auto, though, from Shochi, proccing that illumination, seals the deal, and potentially moves Team Perry on towards Baron.
It looks as though it will do here. Prismatic Barrier was absolutely huge during that team fight, and we're actually seeing the Ocean Drakes already begin to be fairly influential here. ChuChuZ was fairly low at the start or the midriff during that fight, back up to half HP, means they can now tank up this Baron. Let Perry and Shochi dish out the damage. May well be a little bit slower here because they're lacking an AD carry, but Graves is cutting through it. Actually, kind of like butter here, being able to pick up that one, gets the Baron taken down. It is going to be on all 5 members as well. Maybe Dragoon just misses out, not quite sure, but still looking very, very convincing here. And I like the play by Matty's side as well, right? To throw them a bone here. They saw that the Drake was going down, and they recognized they had a small window of opportunity to capitalize on a Misfortune who doesn't have flash. He's kind of out of position, stepping up to the Jarvan, but they don't recognize quite how long they've got to get on top of that and get the kills and get out. Unfortunately, it means that the rest of Perry's team can just come through, pick up the pieces, and find that fight. As well, double up's a fun ability, dear, honestly.
Yeah, knowing that he has that space, just gets to walk up to ChuChuZ, casually almost half health him, and walk away. I really appreciate the fact that Matty has at least been identifying this Misfortune and trying to shut her down in every team fight to, middling success. It's been definitely difficult to follow up on, but the eyes are there, the intention is right, and for the moment, we're going to see if that can be tested once again, as that linear engage that was talked about on our AD is definitely punishing Team Matty for now, but does always have that chance to pop off, especially with ChuChuZ around and ready to delete folks. Shochi, the biggest problem on Team Perry, though, playing this artillery mage from the back, is not letting anybody have any fun at all.
No, look at these shields as well. Now, it gives you more health if you get hit by part 1 and part 2. So, if you get hit by part 1 first, part 2 heals you for more. Probably a better way of saying it. Instead of just both of them hit you. Duh. You get more shields. Nice one. It is going to be the first middle inhibitor going down, and the second bot lane, or the bot lane inhibitor already gone. They go for the fight though. Matty.
Once again, the Cataclysm is absolutely perfect, but there's no follow-up here. And from the back line, seems like Team Matty are going to be able to turn this one around as expected with the bullet time layered over the final spark. They stay positive. They move their way into the base, and now they might be moving their way in towards the end of the game. Doesn't seem like there's going to be a lot for Team Matty left to do, and I come away from this game going, Shochi's kind of cracked. This guy's Lux was pretty darn insane. We saw some good plays on the other side, of course, as we may see just a kill going over. Perry's going to be able to escape for now, and the final spark to pick up one more. Leaves us with Shochi at 14-1, finishing this game at 26 minutes.
31 kills go over to Perry's side. More than a kill per minute here. They're just absolutely tearing up the rift, picking up fight after fight, kill after kill. Didn't need the Ocean Soul in the end, but I dread to think what that might have looked like. You asked how many times would Dragoon actually die? It was actually 2, dear. Got 2 more deaths on at the end there, so overestimating the tankiness of a Malphite. But either way, a really strong showing. Did his job perfectly, right? A job's tank is nothing if not to die for the rest of the squad while they're dishing out the DPS. And that final team fight was a perfect example. They spent Lucian culling. They spent a lot of their resources on trying to take down that big rock man underneath their turret. And finally they do. But ultimately they end up losing the rest of the fight because they don't have anything left.
Yeah, it was a difficult way to play the game, and I think that was identified from the draft for Team Matty just from the beginning. They had a really hard time of winning that, and I think that they did really well to try and find the small plays, but ultimately, of course, the strength of the draft and the strength of the players was overwhelming on the side of Team Perry. Now to see if they can turn it around coming into Game 2, but before we get there, I want to hear what our analysts had to say about Game 1.
All right, so pretty much play out exactly the way we thought it was going to play out. Nick, what are your initial thoughts on that beauty of a game?
I think depression personified is a perfect way of describing that game. I think blue team was on the back foot out of draft, and then I think that blue team then played in a manner that didn't get them a big enough of a lead or put them in as good of a position as possible to try and win the game. I think Wolverine will probably touch on that a little bit, talking about Jax exiting first kill and pushing the wave, and then playing lane after that as well. Also, if you're trying to talk, Wolverine, your mic's
Wolverine, your mic is muted.
Good catch, good catch. I would have personally played for bot side in this draft. I think Jax versus Malphite is a little bit doomed, but you can play to top side, like, if you really want to. They actually got a really good gank off for first blood, but they then pushed the wave state. They really blundered their waves. Like, if they had it pushed back, they don't waste their recall and their TP. Like, they can actually be in a really good spot, but it was doomed from that first gank. Malphite's going to get way too big of a crash. He's just going to have a free laning phase. And from there, it gets really rough.
I mean, that's to even say, like, Malphite also misplayed the wave too, because the wave bounces back to Jax after 2 waves, and then the Malphite was just kind of sitting under tower for fun, just staring down the Jax, kind of menacingly. But you can't really do anything, and he was in a position that wasn't super optimal. And then that's when Matty EQ'd over the wall to go into that river bush, and then didn't threaten him. And then wave comes back, XP was leached, Malphite then gets 6, and then just solo kills the Jax with flash up. So really, really sad line played out of the top lane there, in my opinion. Especially when, the lane that gets resources, then misplays wave, then misplays the 6 transition, just really unplayable, and then your bot lane just kind of sitting there, sad in the bot lane, not getting any resources when they are Nami Lucian into Misfortune Leona.
So enough about the disappointment that was top lane. Let's talk about Strompest Vex. Different disappointment. What do we think about this, Wolverine?
Not a lot happened in the mid lane. Really, there's just not much there. A lot of focus on probably the worst lane for blue side. It just didn't come together.
Yeah. I mean, we said you need good mid jungle 2v2, but to be exact, I think Jarvan might have entered the mid lane maybe once, and it wasn't to exert any pressure over the Lux. Now, it's kind of the nature of what's going to occur with Vex Jarvan into the Lux is they're going to find it hard to get into Lux. She should be playing in a manner where she's far enough from them that their area of effect really doesn't impact her in any meaningful manner. So I think, as much as we want to say that, the Vex Jarvan wasn't good, we can't see lane phase all that much, but we have to assume that at least Shochi was doing something proper in the mid lane, where he was playing wave in a safe enough of a manner where the Jarvan Vex isn't there to properly punish him. So, safely played from him, but, well played, at least in that regard.
So something we were kind of discussing around the 13 minute mark was the MF swap top for first for first tower. Initial thoughts on taking first tower from both of you?
I think Red Side had fantastic lanes at the moment. They were in the dream position. They had Jax in a terrible spot. They want to lock him in that lane forever. They want to keep him up there. They want to continue diving him. Malphite's probably going to solo kill him a couple more times. But we drop the Herald and we tank that tower, and we're trading a lot of gold in places we just don't need to. Just stay in our lanes. Just stay put.
Yeah, it was really puzzling because it stems back to the initial Herald drop where the Jax was forced off. And then Graves stayed in lane. He queued the lane, pushed it, drops Herald, doesn't kill the tower, gets it down to 1 plate. Red team just gets angry, absolutely pissed off, irate. The Misfortune just rage backs, W's down top lane, then takes the tower when second dragon is up. Now we're giving just Mountain and Infernal Soul to a losing team for fun. And then we're also giving them amazing lane state where if, blue team wanted to, they can just be like, oh, that's cool. Herald's not up, Dragon's not up. You can't do anything top lane now. What are you going to do? But it's okay, we don't do that, we're NA. So we just pushed the wave back and smiled and didn't punish. So it's fine. Red team played it really well. They used the 10 mana mind control that Priest gets access to in Hearthstone and really just outplayed them.
So I don't necessarily want to say too much here, but who do we think was the most human player from either side here?
We picked Leona into Nami, so that disqualifies.
I'm gonna go with
prob-
Shochi.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably the Lux, right? I think it's weird because it's like, oh, he really didn't do much. But again, I'm assuming he played in a manner where the Jarvan Vex couldn't affect him with their alt and EQ alt range. So I think that was really good. I think the Ludens was just a good buy. He's solo AP. He's just gonna start piercing the enemy team. I think Shochi itemization was good. I think his, from what we can kind of infer from how the game went, his gameplay was fine. There was the one time where he was getting chased down in bot jungle because he just overextended for zero reason. We're getting TP'd on, and we don't have control of bot quadrant, which is a little troll. But he at least goes 1-for-1 and forces TP out. So I think most human, or most standout player for that game, I'd probably give over to Shochi and Lux. So I'd probably agree.
All right, awesome. So looks like we're setting up to go into draft soon, but it's taking a little bit of time, bit of a delay. Anything we want to discuss in the meantime?
Well, I think the adaptation for next game is gonna be lane focused. Don't get countered picked in both solo lanes, and then play to those lanes. If we do end up getting counter picked in both solo lanes again, probably play to bot. But yeah, I think it's gonna come down to draft.
Excellent. So yeah, don't get counterpicked in all lanes. So from here.
Well, again, not completely fair. They did have Nami into Leona, but we did path away from that lane. So we didn't, want to enable the Nami and the Lucian to properly punish the bot lane because it'd be too embarrassing. You had to give Red Team a chance to try and win the game.
Oh,
Right.
Of course, naturally.
Yes. You three camp Tomp with Lucian Nami. It's really good. Really good this patch.
Yeah, it looks like they're getting started on draft here. Let's jump into it now.
Okay, so we are not intelligent enough to counterpick the Yuumi, so we just banned it away. Even though we know the enemy team is going to B1 it. We had 20 minutes to think about an option, and we said, nope, just ban the kitty. It's fine.
Not a fan of the Ryze ban. I think Ryze not an early pickable champion. He's really susceptible to being outranged, but they are going to take that away.
Yeah, but then we can't play Sylas into it. We need to pick Sylas mid.
Lucian and Lilia being the follow-up bans. They do not want to see the Lucian again.
Yeah, Lilia getting banned away too by Perry's team. I hope to not see Kayn banned. Okay, I like this. As long as we don't draft into the Kayn on the 1-2, Kayn really can't be picked. But I can't wait to draft into the Kayn and have it get picked on 2-3. So, Graves' first pick here. I don't think it's a surprise. I think they said that they flexed it last game, so I think seeing it again here makes sense. Now, the question is, will we see range drafted from Red Team? No, we're just going to pick Zyrakan. Okay.
Zyrakan, a really good bot lane duo because they love each other. Not much else, but
they do love each other immensely. It'd be a really big shame if we just outrange them and never give them the chance to play the game.
Is there any tactical upside to 1-2ing Zyrakan?
You can pick matching skins and be really cute, and you can actually type in all chat like you love each other and whatnot, and then maybe the enemy team will be so distracted by chat until it gets banned. Thank you, Riot. That they actually just can't play the game.
Well, one advantage is if you think you're a lot better than the enemy bot lane, you could pick up some solo kills, assuming they don't just pick to counter it. Although we are seeing a Caitlyn come in, so that dream seems to be dead, followed by a Morgana. Actually, really good draft.
Yes,
really good
Duo
pick from
King
Blue side.
1. Duo King 1 from Perry's team over here, picking up the Morgana. I really like it. I jokingly said Duo King 1. I mean, he's probably one of the more notable Morgana players who even plays the champion when he thinks it's bad, just because he likes the control, gives him over lane and whatnot. But Caitlyn Morgana is a very good combo, obviously, for traps and bind and whatnot, but obviously you could pick into Zyrakan too. And then we are pissed off and pick the Talon into the Morgana. It is okay. We want to win this game. We want to win.
Yeah, I've always thought Morgana's really underrated. Really good spot for her, and the Talon just makes it even better. Her ult, as we know, reveals invisibility, which is a lot of how Talon plays nowadays with his new Gore Drinker build. Just being really obnoxious in the backline, being super unkillable, and his invisibility is a lot of that, which he will not have access to this game.
Yeah, but it's fine. I think red team was actually just drafting without looking at blue team, so they don't know they have the Morgana yet. So they're a little confused, but once they get into load in screen and they see the Morgana, they will be very upset at their pick, I think.
I would probably be pretty upset. Poppy being banned away from red side. So now Rakan's dash, which is already going to be stopped by Morgana's spell shield, cannot be stopped by Poppy's W. So that is a plus. Vex going to be taken away. Not going to see the Vex this game. I think that's a good ban. That champ is OP.
I can't wait until Matty's team just picks top lane on 5 for getting Darius isn't banned and then just gets run over by the Darius.
Malphite being banned away. Not going to see that from Dragoon. Darius left open.
Yeah, we will not see the Frozen Heart Rush Malphite, which Wolverine did bring up while we were talking about. When you rush the Frozen Heart so early, you don't get access to the HP, so it was kind of very easy cut down, which I think we saw in the bot river fight where Malphite died when he really shouldn't have. Luck's getting picked up. Anyone have any thoughts about this? Anyone have any hope?
I think that's all right. I mean, they're shifting away from what their team comp wants to do, right? Where I think you could like all in to just like trying to be a super hard engage comp, but I don't think it would work. I think Morgana's gonna be too good. So Lux a little bit of trying to get out of that, give themselves some range, give themselves some options.
And we're picking Twisted Fate on 5.
Cannot say I enjoy the Twisted Fate.
I mean, we're just trying to make it really hard for the Talon to play, I think. Right, where we're trying to reveal the Talon invisibility, is maybe the thought process. But you have to blind top, so you don't get to play for top, and you're not, you banned Camille first phase, so you don't get access to like a really key combo there. And then it's okay, you pick Jason to it, so you don't care to win the game. It's fine. But yeah, I think if Twisted Fate is like solely playing for bot lane, then I think it's fine. But I don't think it's the best pick they could have gone for. We'll have to see how he pilots it.
I think the last 2 picks from blue side are pretty disastrous. Red side may have actually gotten themselves out of this if they can pilot this poke comp. Blue side, not a lot of engage, so if you can just rely on the Lux and Jace and just everyone else AFK around them, you might have an angle here, but I think in a straight up 5v5, blue side is still heavily favored.
No, 5v5, I agree with you. I think blue side is favored. I think the other thing that you need to acknowledge here is that red side is playing a poke comp when again, they haven't really played with each other that much, and they really don't have a front line to delay anything that the enemy team wants to do. I think that's another key point, right? Their front line is like Gore Drinker Talon and Rakan. It's kind of paper, right? And then like your Talon really can't disrupt them because if he's just, getting, hit by a single bind, he's just dying. So you don't have the best like You have the poke comp with the Jace Lux, but you don't have the complement to a poke comp that you usually want with a comp like that.
It's also just one of the harder comps to pilot. Not sure that playing without any pre-built synergy is going to go super well.
Yeah, very tough. Red team can win. I think we kind of made it sound like it wasn't winnable for them last game, but I think Wolverine and I would probably agree that red team can find a way to win the game, given that we pick Twisted Fate, Tom Kench on 4-5. Blue team did have draft advantage, and then kind of just said we don't want to win too hard, and give back over to them. So wasn't complete stomp like we saw from game 1, but a lot of onus on red team to perform in order to win.
Yeah, I agree. Pretty big turnaround in the later draft. So might see more of an even game.
Hopefully.
So what are the odds that the Caitlyn Morgana just entirely runs to the entire map in the early game?
I think player-wise, they're the worst bot lane of the two. So I would say they should still win, but I wouldn't expect them to run the game as hard as if it was reversed.
Yeah. It'll be very hard for them to, I think, because, again, people just kind of, teams would pick Caitlyn Morgana because they just think it's a good duo, but they don't realize that there's a lot of moving parts that enable a Caitlyn Morgana lane to actually operate. For example, right, we talked about the Lucian Nami and how it can be, very punishing to the Leona, but if you path away from it, it doesn't get access to a lot of, the punish that would exist in it otherwise, right? So you're really hoping to see, parry jungle, path down bot here, choke out the Xayah Rakan, get the early impact. Then you're really hoping to see, parry jungle, then free up the Twisted Fate post 6 and get, proper roam timers and, sync waves up with bot lane. There's a lot that blue team has to do in order to make the Caitlyn Morgana with the Twisted Fate work. That's very hard. If they can do it properly, if they can communicate it well, I think, hats off to them, kudos to them, and it'd be very cool to see. But do I think that it's very easy to do? Absolutely not.
So then what do we think the angles are for red side to try to get ahead in this game and try to get an actual win?
I think you definitely want to get your Lux and your Jace ahead, specifically your Jace. I think the blue side's going to be playing towards bot. They pick the TF, they pick the Tahm Kench to be self-sufficient. They're just going to slam that lane. I think you just trade it, you try and get your Jace ahead, you try and make sure your Lux is farmed, then you play to those two champions, hope they save you.
Yeah, I think to paraphrase what he said, get first Herald at 8 minutes, use it top at 8:30, get that tower down as soon as possible, and really give yourself a winning advantage, I think is what he's trying to get at here.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, we're looking to take first towers early, we're looking to get him down as fast as possible, and from here, it looks like we're about to head into break, and we'll see you when the game starts.
Completely joking, by the way. I don't want people to take that serious. Completely joking. Please do not do that. Please hold them in lane for as long as possible, assuming you're winning. God bless.
Hearing voices from afar, join the madness when the curtain falls. Risk it all.
back to the Rift, ladies and gentlemen, for Game 2 of the AOE presented Amateur Arena. Game 1 was pretty darn exciting, but once again, like Game 1, I feel like our analysts think this all comes down to the draft. I think, you know, if you tuned in earlier, this is really, really something. Right now, it's coming down to the level 1 plays. That was a sick sort of styling from Shochi, who once again is already impressing me. This man's been doing something different.
Yeah. Poor target selection. You have a Xayah with cleanse or a Rakan who has W and flash to get away. Now, whether or not we would have seen the W and flash be able to get away or not remains to be seen. But I, for one, and you know, criticize me all you like, would have loved to see that one go on to the Rakan, who you were all but on top of already. You have enough CC to follow it up with, you know, with Morgana Bind, with then the trap as well. You would have been able to chain that CC onto the Rakan because there's no cleanse available. Even if you have to expend another flash, you get the first blood and you get what you want. I love that they went for the play. I think it was just slightly misexecuted, but they're going again.
Yeah, I was going to say, here's what I'm hearing, Rude. I'm hearing that there's no cleanse available, and that means that plays like this can happen. Already off to a really nice start. Prismal and ChuChuZ force yet another summoner out of the bot lane. 0 summoners for the bot lane of Team Matty right now is looking pretty good.
Let's just slam all the flashes, okay? Now,
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the fact that ChuChuZ has his flash. Please just flash bind one of them right now. I mean, they can look for any flash, and if it lands, it kills them pretty much. Now,
ChuChuZ will do it.
Yeah, okay. They're zoning off of experience right now, which is really good. Like, they're just keeping them at bay as much as possible. You can already see that Array's gone through 3 pet health potions already, like, to try and stay in this laning phase. It's really not easy for him, and we talked about... It's not death.
I mean, imagine if he had cleansed there, though. See, that wouldn't have mattered nearly as much.
It wouldn't have raised as many ooze.
For the person whose job it is to tell you what's happening on the Rift, I think I'm giving you a little bit too much trouble. Let's talk about what I'm supposed to do, and that's call out what's happening. Strompest having a lot more fun in the mid lane on this Lux than he did on the Vex, and is really punishing Shochi right now, who, despite dinging that level and getting that extra little bit of HP, is really not comfortable at all in this TF, and might actually go down as another flash gets blown, just like you wanted to see.
There we go. It's not quite in the lane I'd have hoped for, but really good aggression out of Strompest here once and for all. Always good. Just get a little hand check on your opponent. ChuChuZ a little far.
All right, this is. I mean, this could arguably.
But look who's here.
Yeah. This is a good. This is fine. I don't know if I like the fact that Perry decided to involve himself in the farm, but I accept it as something that comes with having junglers.
Oh my word. Array just got back to lane, already half HP here, chugging through even more potions. I'm a fan of the fact that we've got Perry down here. I want to harken back to what the desk said, is that this is not where Matty should be, though. Like, you should just be... You're either here to weather the storm of the bot lane, and maybe that was to shield from the dive, but you want to be helping your Jace here. You want to be getting cozy as far ahead as possible, setting up these stacked waves, trying to go for dives. You pull up Strompest because he's winning in his mid lane matchup, as well as Dragoon just goes on in himself.
Wow, it does not look like Cozy's going to have a better time this game. If that was any indicator, Dragoon is very clearly comfortable inside of this one, and with that abyssal dive on a relatively short cooldown too, much lower than the Malphite ult, should be able to harass him even more. We've got a small skirmish in the mid lane though, where Shochi is already going on Strompest of all things. As Perry flashes to the reposition, it's gonna go wide, and instead now Shochi's in trouble, as it's gonna be jungler on mid laner on both sides. Strompest should go down here as another dash seals the deal. Cozy is in danger in the top lane as well though, but with the tongue lash missing, he may be able to outplay this, flashing away, waiting for the cooldown with Matty on the way. Cozy's going to survive, at least for now, with Dragoon flashing away as well. Matty's putting himself in a little bit of danger. Cooldowns, oh my lord, nearly off, but it isn't enough. Perry picks up another kill top lane.
It's catastrophe on the top side. The Graves is 2-0. The Jace is going to have to recall, and Dragoon gets a big wave that he's going to be able to crash under the turret. He's going to be able to keep his TP as well, and it's just chaos across the map. Bot lane's fighting. It's a good black shield.
Oh my god.
Oh my word. The net as well. Everybody 1 HP, 2 HP, doesn't matter. We're scrapping into oblivion this game. Let's take stock, though, dear, of what has actually gone down, okay? Where are the big leads? No, never mind. Carry on.
No,
It's
we
all
don't
you.
get to. We don't
you.
get to this game. Perry keeps fighting. Let's see if he can pick up another kill. Strompest quite low, but Perry following suit right now as the cooldowns. Oh my god, they're not enough. Dragoon picks up another kill. And I don't know if we're going to have time for analysis this game, Rudude, because we keep going.
They're literally battling every single chance that they get. It's kind of crazy to see this level of aggression, but this is kind of what you expect out of thrown together, hatch-matched teams. I don't quite know what the word I'm looking for is, but it's not found just yet. Teams thrown together on a whim. They're just looking for battles, looking for brawls wherever they can to showcase, micro intensities more so than anything else. You can see on this top side, though, that Dragoon with just 2 health crystals is probably going to be A-okay up on this top side. He's got to face up against a tier, and that tongue lash hitting is very scary.
God, even now, ChuChuZ just, he literally cannot play the game. He can't even walk up and auto the tower there, and we get to see exactly why. Dragoon's base damage, like you say, with 2 health crystals is already insane, and he looks for even more of a fight as he's already got the level 6, that Devour online, and with that auto, he's going to seal the deal and likely take down ChuChuZ for the kill.
Yeah, this is the one lane that you did not want to be losing if you're on Matty's side. This is why we were saying that we wanted Matty to be playing up to this top side, to be protecting this Jace and helping him start to extend a lead. Instead, the exact opposite has happened, and it's all gone a little bit pear-shaped. Perry hasn't really had to pay too much attention to the top side, has been able to shepherd his bot lane around, and you can see that there's a big CS lead down in that bot lane. There's that mounting in that, and now we've got the top lane as well, beginning to go forth, and should be another quick pick.
Pain.
Why is Twisted Face here as well? Here we go.
He's here to burn the cleanse. That's what it's for. All right. Well, no cleanse gonna come through. Oh, no, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I don't know. That's a. When we talked about showcasing things, that's the one that we pan away from. I'm sorry, we did you dirty, Array.
Well, to an extent, Array also didn't give himself, the greatest showcase right there. Just mistiming the cleanse. It has happened before. It will happen again. It
happens to everyone.
It does happen to everyone. That's the point, right? Is that we see these things happen time and time over. But it is another lead that is going over to Perry's squad. They're extending the lead even further now. 3,000 gold up, 7 minutes into the game, and with a Rakan under the turret, not particularly healthy. Dark Seal is the first item of choice. You have to imagine that this is going to be one that, if they're able to, they can take a lot of damage onto.
This is such a mood from the bot lane. With Team Perry just sitting there autoing away at a Rakan under the tower. They're splitting focus now, and it doesn't even matter as Perry, very low on mana right now, is risking his life to try and get this kill. I think he might actually die here as this could get turned around quite quick. Oh, there we go. There we go. Have fun. Enjoy playing your game, Graves.
It was a little bit of a game of chicken right there. We've got a nice wait out on the. Okay, I was scared again. There would have been no reason to battle in the mid lane right there, but they would have done it regardless, and they didn't. We got Lucidity boost, Twisted Fate to begin with, so that those ultis are going to be trying to be cycled up as fast as possible, hoping to find some leads where they can, and obviously they've already found a lot of leads, and they're going to be looking to continue on and extend those here with a sizable lead in the jungle matchup. You have to admit here, Matty has done a great job at farming, but impacting the map leaves a lot to be desired when comparing to Perry, who, albeit is a level down here, may well look a little bit down in the mid lane, though.
Oh my lord, that was a really nice gold card. Will save Shochi. The Devour will. Let's go, Dragoon. As Roman down from the top side, he is already making waves on that catfish.
There we go, finding the successful savior. Tom Kench's support is not dead, ladies and gentlemen. ChuChuZ on this top side, he has to dodge this bind.
Okay. There we go. Throws it out. Now it's going to take some damage right back.
Quite a lot, I'd say.
Trevor roaming up from the bot lane, and I don't know if they get this kill actually, because the Black Shield, and oh my lord, the turnaround is going to be enough, and you can see the Team Matty are starved for kills, but they are just not getting fed.
They had to dodge the binding there. He dodges binding one, but then Dodges, unfortunately, not the second. Not quite sure where Array thinks he's going. He's going to his jungler, but that does not matter. Matty comes on in, swoops over a wall, and is going to get gold carded anyway.
This is just anti-fun, honestly. Like, this is solo queue games that these players play against each other, because the level of coordination here, well, it exists perhaps more than you would see in a solo queue game. The level of aggression is definitely one that is unhindered by any sort of idea of what the next objective is or what the
competitive integrity.
Yeah, it's murder. It's a murder on the Rift, and this kind of stuff. At least Team Perry's having fun.
At this point, yeah, the notion of a competitive standpoint where we tend to take things a little bit slower kind of gone by the wayside here. Strompest is probably not going to be able to replicate Shochi's successes on the looks this time round. A tier of the goddess instead of a Dark Seal, albeit that he'd have loved those stacks on a Dark Seal if possible. But ChuChuZ up on this top side. The Jace, who we were hoping to see a little bit strong-sided, is 0-2. Not really in the best position himself, and might well lose his turret as well. They've already taken bot tier 1 here, has Perry's team, and looking to sweep around the board, continue to put their gold into the Caitlyn. This bot lane win condition that they drafted for to begin with. When you slam Caitlyn Morgana, you kind of have to play to it, and Perry at this stage trying to get plates on the top side as well. They're certainly doing that.
I can already hear our analysts mauling in the background. it's really
no,
amazing.
dear, what you can hear is Incon making perfectly sarcastic comments about the entire draft, saying he's really happy about things that have happened when in fact he's fuming.
He's actually been on fire. I have been loving our 80 segment. You know what? The action only continues. It only gets better with a little bit more to sort of fuel the fire there. Well, we're going to be getting a nice mid lane push that gets very quickly stopped by the Jace Lux wave clear. That is going to be a problem that you've got to contend with. If these two aren't dead, they're going to be able to clear out the waves. So, you know what the answer to that is, Rudin? More murder.
Kill them.
More
right?
murder, yes.
Yeah. Simple. Just kill them, forehead. That's how we like to play League of Legends. Now, ChuChuZ, nice little bit of fancy feet here. Dodges out on the Lux coordination, but doesn't dodge out on the Shock Blast and dive.
Okay, watch this play there. That's a nice charm, and Perry might go down for this. Does flash over the wall, though, and Dragoon is coming in on the backside. Matty might be able to finish off this kill with one last auto. He will, but it's not like they're not going to pay for it because Dragoon is already cleaning up the kills. Shochi is already on the way with the Predator as well. Low gold card is not going to land, though. DPM may be able to get a nice route to actually get out to safety. Things are looking up as ChuChuZ is going to be caught on the way out, and all of a sudden things start to look down, at least for him. But it's an 80 carry. You were peeled for, you were happy, and now you were alive. And that's really what it comes down to, Rudy.
Yeah, looking up might be a bit of a, overstatement. Cleanse here!
He burned the cleanse. It was important, and oh, Lord Dragoon, he's not going to get it! He's going to die. That's unfortunate. He almost had the kill.
Oh, Strompest gets a kill. Double up. Nicely done.
Sick.
Able to take 2. Good TP here out of Strompest to pick himself up another couple kills right there, taking his total tally to 3, 60% so far of Matty's team's kills. Able to get a little bit back. Good signs of life out here. It is, of course, at the cost of Prismal just whacking away here at this mid-tier 1. They're going to be able to collect this, going to be able to collect Dragon. The objectives, overall, largely stockpiling still into Perry's favour, but always a good little ego boost to get those couple kills up on the top side. And not sure that I'm okay with ChuChuZ stepping up quite like this, but it looks like Perry would be the only one there to punish him. And I think that he's going to get away with it as he sort of moves out through the jungle and looks over toward what is now Array, stepping just a little bit over.
We're only 13 minutes into the game. I definitely thought we were going to start setting up for Baron, but we've got a little while longer on that. So second Rift Herald still in the making as an objective. Remember, no cleanse from earlier. It's getting burned on cooldown. Means that Array has to turn tail and run, but turns on to ChuChuZ instead, who uses the Black Shield on Shochi to help him reposition. Dragoon is having a nice little 1v1 in the bot lane. And while we play the game of where are people going to start dying next, at the very least, we've got some nice side lane management to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, they're pushing out their side lanes at least. We've got a 1-3-1 quote-quote setup situation going on. At least all 3 lanes are being farmed, I think, is probably the best way of putting it. And that's something that you just love to see, is when all the resources are being collected, all the minions in all the lanes are going down. We are seeing that right now Prismal is an absolute force to be reckoned with, almost 2 items already. Matty, you know, you can use your ulti.
Oh, the
Destiny comes through.
Oh, I thought it was going to be on top of Matty, but instead it's taken Shochi to his death. Matty flashes forward. It's going to finish off the kill with the second proc of the rake, but does pay for it with his life. Staying even in the KDA. 2-2-2. Still putting up a show. Still giving us what we want here in the audience. A game that... Well, it is advantage to Perry. The fact is, with the way that it's being played, it could go either way in a few minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you just get one fight where Perry's team aren't quite there, not quite ready to respond, then that's all it takes here. The potential to come back always present. Actually kind of interesting that we do have ChuChuZ with more kills and has such a higher bounty than a Prismal right here on the Morgana versus the Caitlyn. But that doesn't take away from the fact that Prismal is, as I've said, absolutely terrifying. Now going to go back and pick up the Stormraiser. By far and away, he's the most incredibly fed member on the team. And that comes down to those turrets that they were trying to cycle into him earlier on, and that they've been able to continue cycling into him throughout the game. He's got all 3 outer turrets in his back pocket, and that's just not comparable here. You know, as much as Array is trying to keep pace in some regard, you just can't when you're getting 3 turrets pinned in. But this is a nice play here. They've found a lapse in vision, and they'll be able to catch somebody out.
Okay, they're gonna go for it. They're gonna go for it already. Prismal is dead. There is nothing you can do. ChuChuZ not able to save his life. Shochi thinking about turning this around, though, gets caught by the binding and is gonna get blown up while Perry tries to make up ground. Even the dark pool is not going to be enough. That tormented soil not doing nearly enough damage, although I'm sure that Trevor's sweating a little bit right now.
Oh dear, you're lost in the times here. It's not tormented soil anymore.
Is it not?
It's Shadow. It's Tormented Shadow. The Morgana W. The pool.
Oh my god. What is happening?
What did League of Legends do to their game, am I right?
What is happening?
Okay,
Why would you change it?
It's not important. I just wanted to make you aware because
That's crazy.
You know, I got to flex a little bit.
It's good. It's good. It's good. I mean, at the very least, we're getting to discuss League of Legends this game.
I mean, we don't have to talk much about this game in particular. More Black Shield, late Zhonya's, more to expect. Cleanse, again, used. It's getting so much value here. But honestly, just dying every time.
It took ChuChuZ a little longer to die than I had expected, and it actually ends up buying enough time that Shochi is ready to find another kill. Nice double for Perry, picked up with the collateral damage. And the Rift Herald that we mentioned, as Baron isn't up yet. It's now 17 minutes, and it's time for Tier 2s to start going.
Yeah, well, we may see a Tier 2 champion start to die right here as Tom Kench on the top lane, or from the top lane in the bot lane here, does end up getting chunked, but not dying, and now Caitlyn taking a 1v1 with a Talon.
Okay, actually wins, but does end up going down. So you know what? At least things are rectified there. I always do feel kind of weird about that because it says a lot about the state of the game when your AD carry is willing to 1v1 the assassin. But at the same time, I never encourage 1v1ing the assassin because no matter how far behind they may be, they are built to kill you.
It says a lot about the game, right? When your ADC can't 1v1 the assassin, and they're like two items over them. Granted, this was a different case, and okay, we may have another fight here. Everfrost, death, cool. Much more of the same here, as we're going to get to see Array for what feels like maybe it is in fact the 4th time this game, may well be the 5th here. Get chased down, get taken down.
Dragoon stands still, tanks everything, still gets out alive, and Strompest, struggling in the health bar department, is low, and I thought gonna get hit by that collateral damage that literally came off cooldown as Perry used it, but does manage to somehow stay alive throughout it, turning back onto the dragon though, and perhaps taking a reset to spend their immense wealth. Team Perry are going to be putting themselves on soul point and still very much in a position to win this game as the gold lead is ever expanding and has almost hit that 10,000 gold mark.
Yeah, we're sort of taking this game sort of bit by bit here, but under the large assumption here that this one's all but over. Charm into Talon ulti should be enough to pick up Prismal. He goes down, and ChuChuZ will be able to get away here, just able to wander his way through the jungle. Has now got Dragoon in backup, so we are seeing picks come through, and as much as we're saying that, hey, this is one that Perry's team is most likely going to win again here, there is some late game potential on a Xayah. Looks pick potential with Horizon Focus starting to come through. Will exist at a certain point, but up against a Morgana, it is very difficult to negotiate.
And actually, just looking at the way that Shochi has been playing, with the way that Dragoon is ready to do as well, nice knock-up, going to land right there with the Abyssal Leap. Shochi
Gosh.
going to be trying to run away here and actually not going to make it as he gets ignited, taken down by the likes of Trevor, who may be able to dance around long enough for Matty to join up with him. Another nice knock-up going to land. This play is turning on its head, and Dragoon has got to hightail it out of here. This is the part where you're furiously pinging Baron, and unfortunately, I don't think that it's going to work. Does get a little bit of health regen, though. Dragoon simply is not going to die here. Okay, fine. Eventually he goes down.
And is Matty going to be able to find another one here? ChuChuZ does have to burn the ulti to get the Talon to back away at the very least here. And, I heard you questioning whether or not he was going to die. 1v4, it takes a while, but the Talon ending up finding the kill, and the Tahm Kench does eventually fall to his knees once again. Dragoon, unfortunately, right, I mean, there's an extent to which you can have fun as a tank, and you have fun playing tanks knowing that your enemies aren't having fun, right? Because your champion, obviously, not the most mechanically intensive, right? Tahm Kench one tricks out there, sue me, whatever. Like, you take the fun from the fact that the enemies aren't having fun as well. And at this point in time, Dragoon has been able to dismantle ChuChuZ on the top side with the Tahm Kench versus Jace matchup. They're going to get the Baron for absolutely free here, by the way, and a little bit of help from Strompest just in case. Prismal takes probably the greediest back that he could have done, didn't even opt to go into the brush and just sat on the edge of the Baron pit where they were all walking up. Got away with it though because of just how far ahead and how speedy they can be with Baron recalls. For now though, dear, it's going to be a case of can they close this game out, right? You asked were they going to Baron at like 13 minutes in? Obviously no, because it wasn't up. But still, they're in this position for a reason, right? The pace of the game has been so vastly accelerated that they're going to be looking to close this one out pretty quickly. They've got Soul coming up in 2.5 minutes. They've got Baron during that time to push in all of those waves. Their goal right now is going to be just to get as much of the standing gold on the rest of the map as possible, and maybe even break open the base even further. They've already taken down the mid lane tier 3. If they can extend that into an inhibitor, back off, pick themselves up a soul, and then a start again, it's just going to be perfect.
Yeah, Shochi's going to be alive for now. Really nicely done to pop that Zanya's. As, taking turrets is going to start with murder, at least on this rift. Matty flashing away. D's going to get stunned, unfortunately, and won't manage to make it out alive. But it does mean Team Perry are going to be able to execute on this Baron, perhaps even to the tune of ending the game. As this tower, not long for the world, and Shochi, not even bothering with the tower, is just continuing to look for these picks. 3 items on Prismal to erase single one. And that item disparity is matched across the rift as very quickly Team Matty are wiped from it. Inhibitor in the bot lane down, and I think that they go for the end here. I don't know. There's no reason not to.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way, right? This is just a quick wham bam, thank you, man, here in the enemy's base. They're just killing them off respawn, picking up as many kills, as much DPM as possible. They've got the AD carry whacking away at the turrets like a good little ADC should be doing here. No fun to be had there. You've got to be dishing out that to the objectives. And finally, we get to see a little bit of a trade. Shochi does indeed fall, but this is still just corralling them around their own base. This is bullying.
It is. And hey, maybe we get another kill, though. A nice Devour from Dragoon is going to keep that one alive. Thinking about ending the game now, but I think that this sort of merry-go-round of death has me thinking very specifically about the kind of game that we just saw, because these are few and far between, but I do really like that in a showcase for amateur talent, we did get to see some crazy fun mechanical plays. As much as Clean League of Legends is enjoyable, I love watching it, this kind of stuff also tickles me so much. And to see these players having a blast, at least on the side of Team Perry, was definitely a lot of fun. I think big question is Team Matty, who have now lost 2 games back-to-back, one in a extremely tilting fashion. I wonder what they'll look like in Game 3, because it's more about coming back from this than anything.
Yeah, resetting that mental and making sure that you can come into Game 3 fresh-faced, fresh-headed, and hopefully with a better, concise plan. It's always good to see those games, you yourself having a wonderful time just casting all of the absolute chaos that's going on. I've got the job of trying to break it down, but at the end of the day, certain point, it's just like, they're just killing people, right? There's nothing else to be said. I'm sorry. Move on with our day and we'll carry on. Next game, though, hopefully can be a little bit closer. We've seen that a lot, actually, where games have gone to, the first 2 have been stomps, and then even on Tuesday, I recall it was a bit of a Game 3 where the other team just sort of came back randomly. Maybe a bit of lapsing concentration comes through on the other side, and you get a little bit too overconfident, and those things start to happen. We'll have to wait and see, though. Game 3 around the corner. Now, let's hope for some good.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, Rudude, that there are two things that I really like, and one, of course, is getting to see those kinds of games and getting to catch them, and the other is getting to hear analysts be upset about it. So I want to take a very short break, send it over to our analysts, and see how tilted Incon and Wolverine may be. We'll see you soon.
How we feeling, boys?
Terrible.
Anyone feel good about that?
I personally am feeling all right. We saw the Zyrecon early. We saw Caitlyn Morgana picked into it, which we usually don't see, and it went pretty well.
Until
Until we take tower at 9 minutes and we walk top lane and then we almost give away a kill, but it's okay. They overcommit to the kill because they're pissed off and angry, and then they die in the process. But again, we mind controlled them into doing that, so we're just better. We are analysts. We didn't know what was being communicated in the game. We can't possibly critique the play. They are better than us, so they know better.
yeah, so let's touch on that Caitlyn Morgana a little bit. Watching them get dove 3, 4, 5 times into tower, denied like 30, 40, 50 CS, feels good to actually see, and I think it serves as a reason as why you can't really blind Zyrecon like you could in Season 7.
Yes, there have been 4 seasons of evolution past that. Even in Season 7, you probably couldn't blind Zyrecon. I think people are just lulled into a false sense of security being able to blind it when you aren't properly punished. I'll let Wolverine touch more on the proper Caitlyn Morgana punish and probably why it works out, because he's very passionate about it. But he was very happy to see it. I think I saw him switch his pants halfway through the game. So I think he thoroughly enjoyed it.
I was fully expecting MF Leona, just handshake it, perma fight 2v2, just flip the whole game, maybe throw in a couple TPs bot lane, have like a 4v4, just decide the entire game at like 6 minutes. But we saw the Caitlyn Morgana really, really, really great. Because not only does it just smash it in lane, but Rakan is not doing anything against Morgana. Most support players just will not play that champion for some reason, but it is quite good.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah. The other thing I want to touch on too is it's not just good into Xayah Rakan. It's good into a lot of early supports that are getting picked and have been getting picked and have been meta for so long. It's nice to see it finally utilized and actually punish a lane properly. And it was nice that we played for it seemingly and set the lane up for success. It was just really cool to see, I think, and I think it serves to prove that if you properly punish bot lane and set up bot lane for success, you can garner great rewards from it.
Yeah, so let's shift over back to topside. What do you think of Dragoon's Tom Kench and Dakozi's Jace, I guess?
Stellar performance.
Yeah, I think Dragoon put on a textbook performance, crossed his T's, dotted his I's, and just taught Cozy how to play top lane really quickly. A bit tongue-in-cheek there. I think Cozy didn't properly understand the limits of the champion and didn't properly think about how Tom Kench can punish him. For example, he got stuck into long lane a lot. Like, for example, I think it was like level 7, where he just gets caught in long lane, and then he starts moving downwards in a bush. That just allows Tom Kench to get extra auto off, which just sets up kill threshold on Jace. So I think Cozy might not be the most comfortable on the Jace. And I think if you're counterpicking the Tom Kench with something like that, then you need to be able to punish the Tom Kench properly. Otherwise, you are kind of in theory equally scaling, but then just losing at all points. When you really don't want that to be the case. If you're picking the Jace and going for poke comp, you really need to punish that early game. Put Tom Kench on the back foot when he starts falling off as the game goes and you're ahead. But we just didn't see that. So it wasn't a proper punish. And then Tom Kench is just able to make the game unplayable for Jace.
If it was me, perhaps I'd shift my Tom Kench counter into maybe Soraka. Good lane, you can scale, be really powerful in team fights. I think that's going to go a lot better.
Yeah, No, if he dies on Jace, where he can eat the Tom Kench away, there's no way he dies on Soraka, right? Smiley face.
I think Cozy is fully capable of piloting the Soraka top. He's probably put in some hours. He's put in some hours to perfect that champion, and I hope we see it come out.
So people usually make fun of you for your Soraka counter. Admittedly, right? Even when Soraka was a very, very good champion, and you're actually very objectively correct, but I actually think Soraka could be played into Tom Kench because of the delay that exists on his W, where you just
It is actually a good matchup. It is actually a winning matchup.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, I think Soraka is like an actual genuine counter that people kind of forgot about, especially when I think Soraka was being noted about how OP she was, specifically in EU solo queue by Danny, right, who was playing at bot lane and just slaughtering everyone. I think Soraka like rose in like popularity and conversation, but people are still just too afraid to pick it up. But I think the Soraka could actually just completely dumpster the Tom Kench if the matchup was more willing to be explored by top laners.
Yeah, a big problem with Tom Kench is he's very hard to move. So unless you're going to play the lane really, really well, I think a good alternative is you just pick a champion that's going to hard outscale him. Soraka can like get like a slight lead, go even, and she's going to be a hyper carry in the mid or late game. And Tom Kench is not going to be useful because he's Tom Kench.
Okay, we just picked Jace, and then we lose the early game, and are not free to play the game in the mid-late game, and then we say that we are up in CS, and we smile. So, happens.
So then let's shift over to mid lane for a bit here. Something that I've noticed watching a lot of the amateur arena games is that Strompest tend to have a pretty great time in amateur arenas. You had a lot of good lanes, had a lot of very good stats. But today seems to be falling apart with his team around him. Why do we think that is?
Well, that's a loaded question.
I know.
You can't just ask that question as the host. A good host would know not to ask that question.
I would say that perhaps while Strompest has been having some good performances on other days, maybe this is an off performance relative to those other days.
Yeah, I think to add on to that, his mid jungle pairings haven't been the best relative to what the enemy has picked. Game 1, they have Vex Jarvan into Graves Lux, very hard 2v2 to play. And then what was it this game? They had Talon Lux into what was it into?
Talon Lux into TF Graves.
TF Graves. So the TF is really being played to not highly contest the 2v2. I know there was the fight, like what, level 4 or 5 or something.
Grab.
Yeah, where I think Lux Talon got an entry kill, but then got ran down eventually by the Graves again. But the TF is like being picked to really not interact with the mid jungle too much, and then all that's going to occur is the Talon can't play the game post 6 if the TF Graves are properly playing around cooldowns. So then it's like, again, losing mid jungle 2v2. So I think he's just being put into like not the best situations, even when we are picking Zyra Khan on 1-2. We just aren't getting the advantage we want with our picks on the 3-4-5.
So
yeah.
going down 0-2, what do you think Team Matty has to do, either in draft or otherwise, to try to get a win in Game 3 and not make it a full second 3-0 of Amateur Arena?
I would say Gravespan absolutely has to come out. They don't seem to be able to handle the flex, and they don't really have a good answer in jungle. Other than that, I would say need to incorporate some more flex picks. They're showing a lot of the lanes very early, just getting countered everywhere. And even in the lanes they are winning, they aren't actually able to execute on them. I'd probably draft for bot side, but save those picks so you can actually get a winning lane.
Yeah, I think something that's really peculiar is I know Strompest is a very good Lucian player. So when they picked the Lucian on the B1, Game 1, I thought they could have leveraged the Lucian flex a little bit more, right? If you don't pick the Nami on the 2-3, most likely the enemy team can just waste a ban on the Nami, and then you get a lot more freedom where you're, making the enemy team waste a ban, and you're, still holding a flexible champion later into the draft. So I think they could explore that line a little bit more, which again would kind of coincide with what Wolverine is saying with, more flex picks, more creativity in the draft. But really just focusing on not just picking champions to pick them. I think the Vex on 3 is an example of that, where Vex is just strong, and I feel like they just didn't want to go over, and they felt pressure to pick it.
Well,
So
speaking of draft, it looks like we're heading into it now, and they've already taken your advice. Graves off the table.
Fantastic.
coach, by the way,
It is a start.
Lilia ban also to ban out, not ban out, but to not give Matty a champion he's very good at.
Yeah, Lilia not going to see any play in this series. Lilia has always been strong since release, always been a top laner too, but has just not seen any play. Not enough play, at least.
Lilia really good into tanks. Really, really good into tanks. Unplayable almost. Yumi on blue side again. We've already talked about this, don't need to establish it again. We'll just smile and say that they have a plan that we don't understand. Camille ban coming out. Nope, we are just egoing.
I'm going to come on and say it. I think Team Matty need to just switch it up. First pick, Soraka. Give yourself a win con.
They banned the Lucian. Okay.
Lucian banned away.
Now we're gonna pick Miss Fortune. Miss Fortune.
That would be the next 80 carry on the list, yeah.
Yeah, we are going to say we need to pick Miss Fortune. Not to play without Miss Fortune. Okay.
There it is.
It took them 25 seconds to type in MIS into the search bar, and they finally found it, and they lock it in.
They were deliberating over that pick.
Yep, they said that any line has them going Miss Fortune. It's the best line to go, and strongly disagree. But here we are, B1 Miss Fortune. We'll see the Ezreal come in. Okay, surprise. We are just low charting draft with common picks without thinking about how we can creatively counter teams. I think Ziggs is very good into Miss Fortune. I think Ziggs is very much playable, and people just kind of forgot about it because, oh no, we hurt his E a little bit, but that's not why he was good. He can just completely control zones, make the game unplayable, and you can just ulti to the side wave, and you're red side, and you get counter pick in the top lane, so it doesn't matter. It's just really good. But whatever, Ezreal's also fine. Really like it. And we're going Vigo. Okay. Yep.
Blind.
Yep. Okay.
Or
Okay, alright.
So what enchanter do you want them to pick here?
Is it
I think Nami
Soraka,
looks,
or
I
is
think
it-
Nami looks really good. Or
I wouldn't
Resist.
mind a Syndra support. Nami is
Oh, we're doing this
okay.
again.
I was joking about the Nami. I was very tongue in cheek about the Nami.
Alistar.
I'm gonna lose it.
Oh, you want what's gonna be really funny? Is Red Team's gonna pick Silas on 3 here, and you're gonna see the weakest Silas counter on 4-5. Okay. Blue Team needs to find a way to get onto the Ezreal right now. So Camille isn't banned. Camille is traditionally a good way to lock down the Ezreal, not let him kind of free float. You get the Galio, which is why I saw the Galio locked in. Galio's gonna be
With
flexible.
Camille
between
there,
support
doesn't that
and
open
mid.
up for Darius? Dragoon?
Or
Jax. I don't think he'll go Jax.
he should pick it unless he's scared. He should pick the Darius. He should just bring it out.
This
Say
is
that
the
you're
spot for
say that
Darius.
you're the better player.
I mean, he, by default, has been this series, right?
No, that's not true. Cozy had more CS than him last game.
Oh, of course, yeah. So what exactly are you eating then?
This is half-baked ice cream. It's really good.
Excellent.
I'll tell you what, my enjoyment of it has been better than the games.
You know what? I respect that. I respect that entirely.
Yeah.
So we're seeing an Olaf ban come out again.
I really like the Olaf ban because this way, when he's auto-teching Jax, Oh, maybe when he's getting onto Ezreal before he ease over a wall. It's really good. I like this Olaf ban a lot. It was really threatening your Leona.
I think not only is it great in Blue Side's composition, but very strong on 11-21.
Yeah, no, we just wanted to make sure that blue team had no way to win this game, so we just banned the Olaf. Fun, right?
So honestly, though, way better draft than before for Blue Side. This is the best start they've had by a huge margin.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, right? You're seeing the flex pick from the Galio come out, right? We said, support mid, it'll be somewhat flexible. I think Camille Galio is very strong, no matter what happens. We at least have a clear way to play the game. We have lockdown for the Ezreal. We're actually drafting in a manner where we're responding to the picks that the enemy is picking. It's very, very positive. We were just sandbagging first two for fun.
Kane actually not a bad ban. Red Kane a little bit threatening here. Lee Sin, though, not a real champion on this patch.
Gore Drinker's really good on him.
I agree.
You seem to keep forgetting about Gore Drinker and how Uber makes Lee Sin and Olaf.
Very true. Very true. Apt analysis.
Yep.
Deliberating over the 4th pick for Red Side.
And
we're
we're
going
going
back to
to end up going
Viego.
for... Yep. So, Viego, actually a really good pick here, because that way when Misfortune is eating you and running away from you and you can't catch her, then you just get really sad and then tell your team that they need to play better. So it really gives jungle a lot of control over the game.
I'll tell you, I am really feeling the vision for Red Side here. Nocturne, though, a good pick.
They're just playing full dive with MF.
A good pick.
Yeah, I mean, Nocturne is going to also give the Galio access, right? Again, more dive onto the backline. Galio can then ulti on top. Misfortune can come on top.
And somehow Vex went through both phases. Does very well with Blue Side's comp. What is the R5 here to save this draft?
What do you want? I mean, you probably just want artillery, if you want anything, and just pray that your Leona can help the enemy get off you.
Please give me. All right.
I'm trying to think
Cassiopeia.
of a way this can be saved. Cassiopeia is not it. Not it.
So
We're just having a good time today.
Cassiopeia feels good because you're like, oh my god, they want to engage. We're just gonna put Miasma down. We're just gonna ulti. We're so cool and quirky. We wear long sleeve t-shirts under our striped t-shirts. But like, the reality is the Cassio isn't really going to threaten the enemy team in any meaningful manner, right? Misfortune's area of effect is going to be larger than Cassiopeia's is, so the Misfortune isn't being threatened by anyone outside of the Leona realistically, right? Then it's like, the other question is like, if the Cassiopeia is the one getting engaged on, is she really able to get the enemy team off them? And the answer is going to be no, because she's not going to take exhaust, and no one on the enemy team is going, and no one on her team is going to take exhaust, right? So it's like they're just going to die for free. She's going to maybe stun one, but the damage from like Camille or Nocturne, and then the MF is still going to come through, so she's not going to have the answer. The other reason this is another problem is Cassiopeia is still very vulnerable to Camille floating down post 6 while still in lane phase, and again trapping her before she really gets access to a lot of her utility. So I don't think Cassiopeia is a very good R5 here. It doesn't aptly answer the enemy team how you feel like it should, and it doesn't really win you the game.
Yeah, it seemed it was picked as just like a blanket anti-engage champion, but with the way the blue side's going to be engaging, Cassiopeia actually just does not do that well. So it's going to be a rough game for the Snake. I think you're just going to get Galio ulted, and MF is going to put her ult on top of that, and there is not much you're going to be able to do. Cassiopeia wants to play against champions who don't have a way to get past her miasma or her ult. They have to fight her at like 500-ish range. But all of these champions are just going to go right over it. They're going to CC her, which is what she hates. And it's going to be a bad time.
Also really puzzling. So again, to circle back to that Olaf ban, right? If you have access to the Cassiopeia, right, on the R5, why are you ever banning Olaf?
It's because Cassiopeia stuns on her ult, and Olaf removes stuns.
Okay, yeah. I forgot. She definitely doesn't shred the Olaf. Yes, yes.
All right, so
I know.
here's a slight aside from everything that's been going on here. Do we have anything positive to say about either drafts?
I think Blue Side Draft is actually very good.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think we're sitting here talking about Red Side so much because I think Blue Side really pigeonholed Red into a tough position, and Red Side didn't answer properly. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
I don't even think there is like an R5 that can save you. MF pick first was very good. Like, it gives you that flexibility that they've needed. They picked the Galio, which like can technically flex. You're probably not going to, but you do have that option. You have like a good versatile bot lane that can play into anything. And then they continue picking things that are going to go well with the champions they already have. They have a very straightforward draft. They know what they want to do. Way better than the past 2 games. I would say they've gotten themselves a massive draft lead.
Yeah, I just hope that Blue Team can actually execute this game. I think, as much as we've talked about kind of like the lopsided games we've seen up until this point, part of that has been right where the draft has been landing them after they load in, right? So I hope that Blue Team can kind of put the last 2 games, behind them, and just say, hey, we're in a really good position this game. We just need to play our hardest. We need to play to our comp strengths. We have the advantage. We just need to go out and execute. And I hope we get to see that. And I hope that Game 3 is an exciting Game 3, at least.
All right,
Yeah,
so it looks like
I agree.
like draft is about wrapping up. We've said our final thoughts on this beauty of a picked man and this beauty of a series. So it looks like we're going to be throwing it to break. And we'll be back after the game.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Summoner's Rift for the third game of the AOE Amateur Arena. It is the first time, however, that our analysts have, I think, had some positive things to say, about Blue Side draft, or rather about Team Matty's draft. And I, for one, am excited to see how that one goes, especially because I really want to see ChuChuZ on this Ignite Teleport Camille get a pop-off game. But it has to start at the level 1, and it's not going to, so you know what? I was excited for him, but it seems like that is just not the angle.
No flash on the Camille, didn't manage to get hook shot scaled up in time, and you know, it's already looking like Perry's team coming out strong. It's a good open up. But if I've learned anything, it's that these types of level 1s by no means decide the game, particularly when there were no particular resources invested. Everybody still has their summoner spells. Right, First Blood did go over to the Ezreal, so of all the lanes, probably the best place to be giving up a kill early on, just because you can, or you know, at least early on, there's no real rewards to be reaped, right? He goes back, picks himself up a tier, and is, you know, more than happy with life and able to continue on his merry way.
This is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is what's interesting, dear.
The jungle pathing right now. We've got Prismal and ChuChuZ along with Perry going for an interesting start, considering they got to kill top lane, rotating in. I don't think they're spotted on vision right now, and that makes me a little bit worried, especially for Matty's quality of life this game.
Looks like it could very easily be a free buff as well. Then with that, we're looking at the solo lanes to see how easy it is for potentially Matty to go and invade on that top side, and bot lane action afoot. Let's remember this extra tier inbound.
All right, well, for right now, some nice autos going to be landing both ways, but it seems like we're going to have Array actually able to escape relatively safely here, which is nice. Well, up in the top lane, Dragoon is having a little bit of an easier time with it. I realize, however, my spectator client is bugged, so I'm going to have to use Discord for this, because I don't know if you used spectator recently, Rudude, but you know when it starts doubling the gold and nobody has auto attack animations? That's my life right now.
Yeah, you'd be living the zombie life as well, Walking Dead, where people just don't die, and that's even more entertaining to try and cast from. But something that I want to quickly point out, in that bot lane skirmish that we did get to see, ChuChuZ there making a slight mistake when he flashes, goes for the stun. He ignites at the same time, and it means that it's double cleanse value for Array. If you hold your ignite, you can still get the damage down, because you know that the MF is going to cleanse out from the stun, and if you just wait a little bit, you can get the damage through as well instead of giving double value over.
I'm worried about the sort of lack of summoners that the Leona now has for that little value, especially as it translates into the jungle, because we did see Matty trying to go on a small invade to find Perry, see if he could get a buff back. Didn't end up doing it, but had he managed to find the jungler, could have been a little bit paramount to have that little bit of extra utility, especially for the Leona. Well, now Matty moving through mid lane to again try and get a few resources that he wouldn't otherwise, is instead going to lose the scuttle up in the top side. No buff to be answered back either. And interestingly enough, Perry's making the choice to say, you know what, Matty won't invade me. He's probably just going to reset and realize that I should have taken, or that I probably took my red buff, and we'll have the red buff for later. But instead, this all gets turned on its head as Perry walks directly into him, and I don't know why that recall was canceled. Why was it canceled, dude?
You know, I imagine they were trying to go for a collapse. There were a lot of pings going down onto the top side jungle to maybe suggest that the Nocturne had already moved on in, that Matty was trying to get a little bit extra. He'd done the hard work though, and it's one of those where you have to, where you're starting to second guess yourself, second guess what your opponent is thinking, and unfortunately just comes out on the wrong side of that mental warfare this time around. Forces the flash out of the Viego, and Perry's early game play making now slightly reduced with the inability to do one of those nice flash spectral more combos. But you know, with the Viego not having a flash, any early game skirmish is now going to be a little bit harder for Perry's side overall. You know, a disadvantage that they probably aren't too unhappy about on Matty's side. You know, they've been 0-2 down. Any little advantage they can get, they're going to be more than happy with.
Yeah, not the worst thing. By far, now able to move his way back down to the bot side, eventually take that reset. Well, up in the top side, ChuChuZ's not having a great time, despite the fact that he took the Ignite into this matchup. Not doing too well in the bot lane, and Engage going off, specifically onto Trevor, as we've seen some nice Galio play today, Rudude, but it seems like for right now, this Galio's going to need to take a little bit of a chill pill. Trevor Not quite ready for the 2v3 just yet.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep our focus as well on the League of Legends aspect as opposed to some more Wild Rift action that we did indeed get to see earlier. And I want to touch on quickly this topside matchup because ChuChuZ is spec'd heavily into this lane here. As you mentioned already, took the Ignite, also went for the Grasp of the Undying, so that late game scaling isn't going to be there in the ways that it would have been if you'd have gone like for the Conqueror, for example. This Grasp of the Undying is to largely help him out during the laning phase, and Dragoon on the other side of that has that flash, so not the innate combat summoner spell. Similarly, hasn't gone for the Grasp of the Undying and has gone for the more later scaling option of the Conqueror. So we have this laning assignment where we're expecting ChuChuZ to try and find these advantages, and if he doesn't get out of the gate ahead, the split push in the later stage is going to be very hard.
Oh god, it's a 3v3 in the bot lane. Oh god, Trevor finds a double man taunt, but he doesn't get the first kill. Instead, it is answered back, but in miraculous fashion up in the top side, Dragoon ends up claiming a kill as well, and it's a 3-for-3 now, or rather 2-for-3, evened up as equalizing after that initial kill. Seems like Team Matty have found their way back into the game with 2 different kills going down in their bot side and 1 even answered back in the top lane.
Yeah, it was ChuChuZ being able to capitalize on Dragoon, just getting a little too antsy underneath the turret and picking up the 1-for-1 up on the top side. Of course, Ignite finally starting to pay dividends up there. Down on the bot side, though, a much different story. It's a 3v3 that just goes the favor of Matty. 1 survivor from each side, both AD carries able to move out, and Matty as well. The X-Factor difference here for his whole squad, able to keep himself alive, and Iron Spike Whip in the inventory now. I think this may be, dear, what we've come to know as a Stride Breaker Nocturne.
Yes, and it's really, really nice. There's the chance, of course, for the pivot later on, which could be, you know, a bit more of a sustain option, but for right now, the Stride Breaker would provide an immense amount of value. Well, right now, it's all about that smite fight, and it's one that Matty ends up winning. I know that normally, with steals, we get a little bit more excited, but in this case, it's kind of given over, but the fight is not, and instead, people just walking in one by one is going to be giving even more kills over, as it seems like Team Matty find their way not just to a dragon, but to a complete ace after a barrage of question mark pings get thrown down on the rift.
Yeah, I mean, you said that the fight wasn't given over, but I would argue the exact opposite to that Perry's team just sort of go in one by one, and there was a great flash petrifying engage, don't get me wrong, but the follow-up just wasn't quite there yet. Shochi didn't quite have the support of the squad to make anything happen from that, and the rest of the team as well just lacking a little bit behind. Then finally, when Dragoon does make his way down to the bot side, his team's already dead, and he's just sat face tanking a bullet time on top of 3 other members, and not a right lot that you can do in that situation as a Jack. So you have to sort of pick yourself up, dust yourself down, and carry on with the game here. Now in an extreme disadvantage through these early stages. The dive potential, the snowball that Matty's team have got is very real as well. They can just pull the trigger at any time.
They're going for it right now. There's that trigger you were talking about, and the fear does not let Shochi play the game, where Perry's likely to be suffering the same fate, although he's a little bit faster, which actually ends up getting him to safety for now. He gets out, but still losing the mid laner and losing the Rift Herald. This was all over in the first place is really going to hurt, as now no objectives are accessed by the side of Team Perry. They're going to lose more, and the only place that they're really getting anything is in the bot lane, where Array, playing pretty darn safe on this misfortune, may still be punished yet. Now with the arrival of his literal hero, the Galio, coming in from the side, Trevor is able to keep MF safe, and Array is going to be able to farm up just nicely enough.
Perry forced his flash as well in the mid lane. Now Strompest finding semblances of success here on the Vex versus Cassiopeia matchup, a matchup that we're expecting the Vex to have a pretty good time in. You should be able to keep this Cassiopeia at arm's length for the most part. Similarly with the bot side matchup as well, it's a good laning matchup for Array with his support pairing as well. Got to point out quickly that Galio does tend to do very well as Strompest.
Okay, there's a nice Zenith Blade, and that is a nice kill, which has arguably been the best part of the Cassiopeia so far. The grounding effect that she's laid down has been really, really detrimental to a lot of these, I want to say carries, but just people who get caught by Zenith Blade.
Oh, and people that get caught by a Nocturne as well. Double sphere.
Not going to turn into too much of a different play for Dragoon, as unfortunately for him, the 2v1 still not a dream that he can live, where Array ends up expending some of the bullet time in the bot lane to try and find a chunk. We've still got these plays on a knife's edge, but we're going to be getting one towards the bot side as Perry's moving in, and there's no vision to spot out this Viego. Is this a tower dive?
It might be, but look where Matty is. He's already beelining it bot lane to make this play count.
All right. Flash under the tower from ChuChuZ gets us going as Perry tries to follow that up. Instead, ChuChuZ goes down to the tower. Perry gets half healthed by the tower shot, and Matty shows up just to sort of usher them out and say, thank you very much for coming. It's time to go now.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it here. You get to see firsthand why this Galio does so well into the Leona, even if that Zenith blade ended up connecting. You know, you would have just seen the exact same thing. It was a 3-man taunt under the turret, which was just absolutely beautiful. Stopped the dive in its tracks. And all kudos to Trevor, because he stopped that play in its footwork, because Matty now going to have some fancy of his own to get out. And, you know, Dustbringer in combination with some nice clicks do get him out to safety. So very well played, as he was indeed caught in the enemy jungle, but did get out freely.
That's a pretty sick spell shield, honestly. I was impressed by the fast fingers on that. Taking a look at the top side, though, where we have yet to check in for a little while. ChuChuZ, who had built for the laning phase, is now doing pretty all right inside of it. Previously suffering, now up CS, is going to be pretty comfortable on the Camille, but does still need to find that solo kill once more, and Dragoon is not going to let him have it easily, as now with the Conqueror stacked up, he knows that he wins this one, gets to walk forward and just pressure ChuChuZ right back onto the tower. Fortunately for him, he's got some company as well, with Perry and ChuChuZ coming back up. In comes the Paranoia, though, and even more so, in comes the Galio, as layer upon layer of death arrives in the top lane. It's not going to be benefiting ChuChuZ just yet as he gets the slow, but the flash to finish him off will mean the kill goes the way of Dragoon. Really nice pivot there onto the Cassiopeia with the Justice Punch, and an even better taunt. It's gonna take down Dragoon, and I see another Galio popping off here.
Another big fight on the top side. Matty's team, we get to see their composition in full force. They see targets, they kill targets here, dear. Shadow Sturge into the backline, Paranoia into the backline, Galio over the top. If they see a target they wish to take down, they can force this so easily. They're going to be able to turn their advantage into a top lane turret. 4 kills on top of all of that, and now may well find Prismal in a bit of trouble as well.
There are the fancy feet that I was hoping for. Prismal dancing around in the mid lane, keeping hope alive for the red side as this guy farms it up for not just the towers, the minions as well. Things get antsy down here, and it's only going to continue as Perry has to use the Heartbreaker to get to safety, but how safe is he? Safe enough, it seems. He gets out just barely.
Again, yeah, just by the skin of his teeth right here, able to get out. It's the Immortal Shield Bow that gives him a large chunk of health in the time that it mattered most. That Gale Force active really looked like it was going to be enough to take down the Viego. It wasn't, and they aren't even going to be able to translate this into a Drake right here. A lot of topside pressure recently has allowed Perry's team to move their way in, pick up this dragon, and sort of slow the roll a little bit here of Matty's squad. A Drake that would have been very useful to them to try and close out this game in a little bit of a more tidely fashion, but as such has not been allowed. So have to keep going. See hero, kill hero.
Yeah, another Paranoia is going to land that fear, but Matty can't take up the tower too much, and instead ChuChuZ is on their back here. Solar Flare is up, but isn't going to invest it for right now as a third joins the fight. Strompest is ready. He's going to go over. The personal space is huge with the fear. Turns into yet another kill with Shadow Surge, I believe, again off cooldown. He's going to be able to join, missing it just now, but it don't matter as the 5-man squad now on top of Dragoon leaves Strompest with a triple kill, and very proud of the Vex.
Wonderful ult in from Strompest, gets in the midst of everybody, personal space to find a 3-man fear, and turns the fight in an instant. It's not even turning it, just starts it and ends it in that second. Vex play to a T right now. 10 stacks on the Magi, 7, 1, and 5 already working toward that Horizon focus, and this Vex, if it wasn't scary in game number 1, is looking darn terrifying here in game number 3.
That was absolutely nasty stuff, and I'm really glad that we get to see Strompest on the Vex again. I think it's the 3rd time that we're seeing it, and inside of today, it's looked middling, especially because of the Lux counter pick that we saw Shochi do really well on in game 1, but now I'm really glad that we get to see, that pop-off performance again, and hopefully it only gets to continue, as I see no signs of it stopping anytime soon. Vex, when she does get going, is extraordinarily hard to shut down, especially with the personal space and the CC that she can lay down as this burst mage, and it doesn't get any better inside of the jungle either, as yet another pick gets found. The Justice Punch and the taunt is going to seal the deal. Matty seals another one in the top lane. Shochi ends up going down and truly in control of this game. It's feeling like the tables are turned from the last.
Yeah, you can really force your advantages with this composition. We talked about it. The analysts touched on it as well with the draft, that they can just force as much as possible. Bot side now as well. The lane 1v1. Dragoon not going to come out on top. There we go.
Wow.
Q2, lovely stuff. Camille, true damage, lovely to see. Another fight here. ChuChuZ going to be able to hop over soon.
And this is just a kill onto Perry. It seems like it might be answered back, and it will be, so a little bit of healing. And actually a really nice knock-up in CC. Train ends up trading it back. Okay, Perry, I'm
Viego
sorry.
resets.
Yeah, he's really getting going as well, because he's got that Camille mobility to get right on top of your AD carry, and it's looking like a Perry game here as he picks up, oh lord, I was going to think another kill, but does give that one over. Nice guy, Perry. Lets Prismal have a little bit of taste of glory.
Yeah, gets a nice pick up onto the ADC, but 3 kills going on to the Viego is absolutely terrifying if you're Matty's squad. Doesn't mean that the game is back in their control, it just means that you've got a little bit of a threat to be thinking about as you close out this game. This Viego certainly a point of power now for Perry's team, and as we see, Trevor goes for the taunt.
Does Perry get another kill? He does not. He doesn't actually get to play the game, and actually from the moment that his screen went dark, feels like he could have taken his hands off the keyboard there, but nonetheless a good collapse. Does get another kill going for Matty, and the top side has been extraordinarily strong so far for Team Matty, so it's really going to be them coming up against what is now a Viego who's had the chance to back purchase a few more items and maybe can start clapping back in some of these team fights, but it needs time, and I'm not sure that that's something Perry's going to have.
No, I mean, this composition from Matty are going to be looking to force at any given instant, and the time, as you mentioned, is certainly not on their side. Going into what looks to be a Death's Dance as a second item here, not the snowball item you want.
Very scary stuff, as in comes the heroic entrance, and right back out goes the Justice Punch. Shochi is flanking right now, but is going to find a teleport on the side. Nice dodge, at least for now, keeps Strompest in it, keeps him alive as he ends up exiting. Is thinking about re-entering with that Shadow Surge, but time is actually an interesting thing here, as I was worried about Perry not having it, but with the way this team fight has gone, he's had the space to succeed, and now jumps forward once again with that Heartbreaker.
Strompest.
Not quite finding Strompest, but making this a fight for the ages. As ChuChuZ's thinking about re-engaging, it looks dangerous, but Team Matty, they may have a plan that we don't quite know about. Personal space by some time. Strompest goes down to a snipe on the Mystic shot from Ezreal. Prismal's feeling good about himself, and it does not look like Array is, as Perry's trying to get on top of him. Matty's gonna join up with this one. Can they find the answer back? Over goes Shroud to finally find the shutdown on this jungler. Matty is still alive, but finally, again, these Mystic shots continually coming in from Array. Will they be shut down? The Justice Punch comes up short, but a double kill goes over to Matty, and the taunt still connects. Shochi is focusing down on this Nocturne, ends up getting the kill, and Array is going to try and assist from over the wall, as it's him and Trevor against the world. Q going to land from Shochi. He should be able to laser this one down. Yet another kill goes into the pockets of this Cassiopeia, and yet another will fall before the day is out, as Prismal chases down Trevor.
This is going to be a quick pickup as well here. Another fight that Matty's team aren't able to close out on. Perry's team now really looking pretty good about this. TP comes through, and this may well seal the deal.
It's gone too long.
Yeah, this is just a simple death, right?
It's
just
okay.
a quick trade. Shadow Surge as well to get an assist. But, dear, large overall arcing theory here, the theme of that fight, Perry's team not done in this game just yet. Yes, they were down a little bit. Yes, they weren't looking the greatest. But they're fighting back here. The start off of that fight as well, where we see them chasing from the bot tier 2, largely because ChuChuZ was never able to get in. Strompest wasn't able to get in either, zoned away immediately from the TP, and it meant that it was mainly a 5 versus 3 in the bot lane that they were able to chase down. Now there's a Drake up on the board, and Matty is going to be able to hop over the wall, help secure that one for the squad, and move on through the rest of the game with an extra bit of resistance on the squadron side. But this is now turned into a bit of an interesting game. The gold lead tells us that this game is a lot less. Gold lead tells us this game is a lot further apart than we may be seeing firsthand.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of that has to do with perhaps Team Matty getting a little bit overconfident for a brief moment. But because of that gold, I'm expecting them to be able to bring this back around specifically what they're setting up right now around top lane, the Vision, and the Baron that is now up. Because they've still got a lot of zone control to work with the Vex, with the Misfortune, and the Galio as well. Even the Paranoia, to an extent, can control the space, and all that is super valuable around these big objectives, the epics like the Baron and like the Elder Dragon that is much further away. So we're focusing on Baron for now, and you know, that's exactly what Matty's doing, and that's the thing that I think will differentiate them. However, if they choose to focus on team fights like this, things could get iffy. In comes the Galio though with a 3-man knockup and a 3-man taunt, and I may be eating my words as a bullet time is really gonna put in the work over the side, and even Perry can't quite seem to turn the tides, but he is doing a lot of work there, being taken down just barely by the auto attack. King Perry almost takes us all the way.
Oh, I'm so happy with Matty right there, just pulling the trigger, recognizing the composition that you have and how well you can play it. Once again, we're seeing these sacrifices being made by the squad for the greater good. Matty just dives in. If he dies, he knows that it's not the worst case scenario. He just needs his team to follow up. You see ChuChuZ come from one side. We see the Galio ulti over the top to help out the team and help out in that fight. And it looks as though Matty's gone too far. It looks like the Nocturne is just flying into his doom. But fortunately enough, he was able to get the support that he needed by the time, yes, he falls, but the fight goes in their favor, and it's so good to see playing to your win conditions, playing to your composition strengths, something that Matty's squad have largely struggled with so far tonight. But today, this game here, they've turned it around and they've rectified what they've been doing wrong.
And now the base is broken, and it's such a huge source of pressure for them as well. Again, we return to this fight around the Vision, keeping control of the red side jungle. The red side jungle of the red side in Perry's control, but it seems like the focus from Team Matty has shifted towards the bot lane. Now they know that they can start snowballing in, break the space and get another spot and get themselves the Baron, especially if they take down Shochi with them, shutting off the chance of a Baron and even finding more in the mid lane. That is the stuff that snowballs are made of, and unfortunately for Team Perry, this one had a rock in it.
You can't step out of your base versus this composition. They see you, they kill you, dear. They've been looking time and time again to use Nocturne ult aggressively, use the Vex ult aggressively, as they should be, and now they're punished for it again.
Oh my lord, the double taunt though shuts him down. Such a big thing for Trevor to be able to peel away from, and now with this Nexus tower gone, both of them deleted, there is a chance for the end of the game. It is iffy still, as there are members funneling out of the base right now, and with Array trying to hem them in, this true shot barrage doesn't quite find a kill, but Matty's still so low that ChuChuZ has to commit forward. In comes the Galio, and this might be the team fight to change everything, but a big stun comes in, forces the Zanyas for now. Ezreal is down, Shochi still unfocused, gets jumped on by ChuChuZ, the damage is being deleted, and Perry underneath his own inhibitor tower still burns down. Now, oh my lord, Strompest even shuffling out the damage on top of Dragoon and on top of ChuChuZ. This one will end the game, and it is convincing for Team Matty.
60 kills almost inside that game. 59 is our total at the end, dear. But you know, there was a slight time where we thought that there was going to be a comeback. We were indeed, I was indeed incorrect. It turned out that there was just a little bit of a fever dream right there down in the bot lane. They got a little bit too haphazard and did end up getting the rest of control back into their favor. Their composition was played out really nicely during those later stages of the game. Told you that forcing pulling the trigger was incredibly easy. All they needed to do was do it. and they did it. They got all the wins and all the kills that they could have wanted, broke open the base very early on, didn't even need the Baron in the end to make things happen. Just force your fights as much as possible, and success will come.
That's that compositional strength that our analysts talked about. And I want to know what they thought of how it was executed, as it was the first win for Team Matty. Did it just come down to composition? Who did we end up seeing highlighted in this most recent game? That is what we're going to find out over on the analyst desk, as we will be right back with an interview in just a few minutes.
I just finished a sandwich. So,
Not bad.
what do we think of that last game?
I think went a bit according to plan. Blue side played to their composition well. Red side tried their best.
Cassio was almost useful on the R5. It's good to see.
I think the game really opened up when at minute 8 we took Cassiopeia Ezreal against Vex MF, and we decided that's a good dragon fight to take. Level 5 VA go against level 6 Nocturne. That was never really going to be winning, and Blue side was able to capitalize on that.
If you need to grab it, just grab it. You're still on camera, man. Just do it.
Yeah, I think from there, I mean, Blue side just extended their lead. That comp is very good when they're ahead, and Red side definitely needs to have gold to like play into that comp, or else they just kind of get run over.
Yeah, I think it's really nice seeing the draft that you think is going to win go 3 for 3 in a series where the team has what we feel is a clear advantage coming out of draft phase. Actually win the game and play the comp and win the game. But draft doesn't ultimately matter at the end of the day, of course. I think this series, is a good counter to when people jokingly say that, obviously. I think blue team got a better draft, and they're actually able to execute it and play it, and I think you're able to see an even game and see what at least the players were capable of when they didn't have the best showing games 1 and 2, but I don't believe it's indicative of the player skill. It's more indicative of the position they're put in given the draft phase that they had. So it's unfortunate to see kind of 2 games that aren't the most competitive, or kind of actually I don't think any of the 3 games are competitive. I think there's massive draft advantages and disadvantages, and I think it'd be more interesting to see these games when it was much more even, I think.
I mean, I guess the
That's
big
right.
positive here is that it wasn't just a 3-0 across the board, right? You can just see one team just beat down the other for 3 straight games. They took turns. So,
Well, not technically. It was 2 wins by one team, then one team.
Lopsided turns.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely really nice to like see both teams get a draft win. You get to see how both teams play at a draft disadvantage, like how they get to play into a bunch of different comps, instead of like one team just getting like the same draft win over and over.
Yeah, it was also really nice seeing that either team is also just willing to flip the game perma in all 3 lanes simultaneously, all at once, without any communication between the lanes. That was really fascinating and really cool to watch. I was a really big fan of that too. Where Jax is just fighting Camille 1v1 top side, we are fighting, I think it was 2v2 or 3v3 bot side, and we are also fighting in the bot side of River as mid laners. It's really fascinating to watch. Really cool.
So then across the board, what would we say would be the big standout from today? Who do we think had the best showing from both team? Or stand out in a negative way? It's up to you.
No. Only positives. Only positives.
I'm gonna say Shochi had outside of game 3 a good series. I think he was good games 1 and 2. Although to be fair, he had like good circumstances. I think Dragoon played well. Definitely gaps top lane.
Yeah, maybe. I'd agree with this, Shochi. I feel like does it have to be one of the bot laners? I think. I think as much as we talked kind of down on Prismal's team, right, getting 2-1, whatnot, I'd probably have to say that like the bot lane from Prismal's team, I forgot what their team name was actually called. We're doing. I'm thinking of the right team. Yeah. We're doing a pretty good job in lane of like choking out Array and Trevor Roy. We saw them play the Caitlyn Morgana, kind of make it unplayable. And I think the Ezreal into MF, although they won the level 1 to 2 transition fight into MF Gallia in that third game, I think they showed really good poise in the early game lane phase, where you kind of saw their time in Academy come out and show Prismal and ChuChuZ as a coach. And then I think that's like the main takeaway that you can take from that game or from this set. And I think you can look into like the transition of early game to mid game for those players. Taking early tower and why it's not very good. Poor lane assignment after taking towers and whatnot, right? Rushing opposite side of map for fun while dragon is spawning, things like that. But I think at least be really happy about the early lane phase from Prismal and ChuChuZ.
I think that's really good because it looks like after this, in just a bit, we'll have ChuChuZ as our interview for tonight. So I'm going to get to hear from him about how it was like winning with Prismal, how it was like playing in this this amazing 3-block.
High skill ceiling, high team deathmatch. Game of League of Legends.
The big upset here is that it can literally only go up from here, right? There are only positives from this point.
Can it?
It can. I'd like to think that there's some positive that we can take out of this. Please, God, let there be a positive we can take out of this.
Yeah, I think Yumu's Immortal Shield Bow Graves is looking broken this patch.
Every game, without even thought, build it every game.
Every game, independent of enemy team, independent of how game goes, Yumu's Rush Immortal Shield Bow must have.
I would love to see some more Morgana priority come out after this series. And once we get there, we can slowly work our way up to Syndra support. If we thought Caitlyn Morgana smash Xayah Rakan, Caitlyn Syndra will go up 40 before 10 minutes.
Yeah, Syndra is just going to get and stun. Smiley face. And if it doesn't work after one game, it'll never work because it's a bad pick. So, thanks for your recommendation, but you have to just troll pick smiley face.
Yeah, they'll just gank it probably, I think.
Yeah. Well, the even better part too is the enemy team will just ask you to not troll draft, and then they'll just ask you to remake draft.
All right, so stepping away from the circle drift, looks like we're about to throw to ChuChuZ and D with Dia and Rodu for our interview for tonight.
All right. Yes. Are we ready? Yeah, all right. We're good. Hello, everybody, and hello, ChuChuZ. Yeah, welcome. So this is in case you guys can't quite place it, which you absolutely should. The support from Team Perry, as they were named on stream, who's playing out of their mind. And my question for you is just, to start us off, to get an idea of how Amateur Arena has gone for you guys tonight. Obviously, 2 big wins, the singular loss, and you guys haven't played together too much as a group of 5 until now. How did you find the communications working out? Where did you guys, in Game 3 perhaps, falter? What were the strengths of the team?
Yeah, the closest thing I know about these boys is I've just played with them in solo queue, and this is the first round I've played of these in-houses, but it was really refreshing. Everyone was pretty switched on. We had a good time. I would say the first 2 games fell in our favor very quickly, so we kind of had a bit of fun heading into Game 3, but no, everyone was a pleasure to play with. It was a good time.
And then I guess leading on from that a little bit then, what role do you find yourself taking in these games, right? Obviously, a coach as well, hopefully fairly vocal. Do you find yourself leading the team, hopefully like making shot calls, or is that falling to other players?
Surprisingly, these guys were pretty on top of what they needed to do. So I found myself having, especially in the games we were winning, I didn't need to say too much. But in game 3, I could definitely tell like a lot of these guys didn't know what to do, especially when things started falling apart. And that's when I would try and like come in a bit more and give a bit more direction.
Okay, cool. Nice to see then, stepping up when needed. And I want to touch a little bit on game number 2, right? Because you're on Leona duty for the other 2 games, maybe a little bit less fun, interactive, whatever you want to be saying here. Obviously, the Morgana a little bit more open to interpretation. What was the philosophy behind picking the Caitlyn Morgan? Was it, you sort of putting the foot down saying we can roll this bot lane, or was there something else behind it?
No, that was Prizzy. Prismal is pretty... When he sees an angle that he's really for, he'll pretty much rally the troops. So as soon as they locked in Zyra Khan, he just shouted, "You want to play Kate Lux?" And I told him that I don't really play Lux support, but I can play Morgana. So he went with Morgana, and no. Like, it went really well. I trusted him.
I mean, it looked really good. I wouldn't want to play against it. That was definitely scaring me. Caitlyn Morgana isn't fun on the best of days for the opposition, at the very least. But given the fact that we did get to see that Morgana, and you played it quite well, you played the Leona at the same time with expertise. I think my question to you, since we're always looking for what sorts of new ways we can highlight people in AoE Amateur Arena, is what did we not get to see from you today that I can look forward to seeing from you in the future?
All right. I guess I was a mid laner for 3-4 years, and I've now decided that I would want to look into playing again. So I would just say to look out for my progress as a support player.
Okay. I like your re-entry too, because you can still play the mages in support.
Yeah, you know
feel
it.
like you have autonomy.
You know it. That's it.
That's how. Well, I mean, not at the highest level. But that is how I enjoy playing the game. As Rooted well knows. No, I'm saying I can't play at the highest level.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Exactly. I was gonna say, as Rooted well knows. That's super helpful, and I look forward to seeing. If we get to see you in the mid lane swapped in soon, maybe we can see you going up against Strompest, up against Shochi, who also had some amazing performances today.
Yeah.
Now we don't have too much time for the interview, so that's going to end up wrapping it up. But I do appreciate that you gave us the time to see your gameplay and talk to you a little bit afterwards today.
No problem. It was a really fun time.
All right. Well, thank you, Rooted, and thank you, ChuChuZ, for being on here with me. This has been AoE Amateur Arena, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time when we showcase even more amateur talent.